Look at us now, tip to
Ooh, Jesus.
Shout out to Morning Kombat.
Do you want a margarita? Yes! My God!
It's us doing what we love. But it's time to bang. Oh, yeah, it's Friday. We're live, right? We ain't got shit to do. Let's do Morning Kombat, okay? The best damn combat sports show of all time. Now on Fridays, paid for on Fridays, but still free to you. Welcome to Friday, November 22nd, 2024. This is the M to the K. I'm the BBC to the, I don't know. I really don't know where I'm going with that, but my name is Brian. It's nice to meet you. That is my co-host. He has Washington, D.C. on his skin, and he also often smells like the city. It's Luke Thomas. Great to see you, Luke.
My showering is infrequent as a work from home guy. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. Why don't you tell everybody how you're feeling this morning, Captain Drinky?
caught a hanger, but you know, we move on, we adapt, we adjust.
Hold on.
Roll through.
Before you move on, what was the drink of choice last night? What was the drink of choice?
Oh, IPAs, Luke. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, hold on. You have to, like clarify, like what?
Double New England style IPAs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
How many did you put down?
I mean, this is not a topic for full consumption here, okay? But
more than this?
No, I couldn't do that.
Okay.
I'd have a javelin sticking out of my forehead. I'm old as shit, Luke. I'm playing roulette every time I take a sip there, knowing the hangovers that I can acquire. You know?
I understand Stipe Miocic. That's what it's like for me going to the bar. I mean, I can't. Exactly. I cannot do it. My body just rejects it.
And like Stipe at the end, you're relieved to announce to everyone that you're never doing this again. You know what I mean? So there you go.
So true. So true.
But thank you to all these listeners and viewers, and however you put this into your body. Thank you for staying with us, still fighting, still bringing it. By the way, Luke, we're one day away from Big AJ of the Costco guys having his AEW comeback wrestling match. Are you? And I hear the Rizzler will be there too. Are you feeling that at all?
So I know who these people are. I don't understand why they're pro. Well, I guess I don't understand who they are. Why are they pro wrestling?
Okay, so Big AJ, the dad of this father-son duo, was a 15 years ago was like a low-level regional indie wrestler, and he's using the viral TikTok fame to fuel a comeback for one more time. But I didn't expect you to care. You know
how old is he?
I'm going to guess he's our age, if not older. I'm going to guess
he's going to get injured like a motherfucker. Hope Costco's got crutches, bitch.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right. We got a decent-ass show for you today as we set the stage for breakfast at Wimbledon tomorrow morning in Macau, as UFC Fight Night gives us an absolute banger of a main event and a pretty damn good main card before it dips into local fare beyond that. We will also look at the biggest headlines across boxing and MMA this week and get to your artwork, photos of your wife wearing our merch over there on fan subs. And Average Joe Art, Luke, has been promoting on social media that he's back on fan subs this week, and he is back in a big way. He is the defending Morning Kombat 2023 Donk of the Year.
He's been talking a big game. We're going to see what that game looks like a little bit later in the show.
Indeed,
excited about it.
Suspense. It's killing me. Luke, what's new in your life as we approach this weekend? We finally got some rain in the Northeast where it was, oh
my God,
it was biblical drought levels.
Yeah,
here.
It's freezing outside. It's raining as well. And we had a good run, my family and I. We didn't get sick. I mean, I had my leg issue, but you talking about like respiratory illnesses or whatever. We didn't get sick all year. Like we had a great run, and now I got something from that train station. You know what I'm saying? Like you just know how it goes.
Newark Penn will always give you the AIDS if you let it.
I mean, you want AIDS, you want the clap. Just get a bagel in there. They'll hook you up proper.
Wow.
But so I got my daughter sick and I got my wife sick. So it's fun times.
That's great. So Luke, I'm on a well in terms of my water at my house. So this drought was so extreme lately that we weren't even using our washing machines or drinking from the taps to save it because it's such a kick to the rear end if your well runs dry. So, Luke, I went to the laundromat yesterday for like 3 hours, and there are people.
That is,
I haven't done that,
nubs.
dude. I haven't done that in 20 years since since my washer broke one time. I'm like, they're all probably respectful people in my own community, but every other one, I'm like, definitely committed a felony, definitely about to commit a felony. You know what I mean?
Dude,
There's that vibe there.
So one time our washing machine broke and I bought a new one, but the one that I got, for whatever reason, it wasn't even a fancy one. In fact, we got one that was purposely not fancy, because the one that broke, the repair guy showed up and he was like, "Don't get a fancy one. The light panel breaks and then it's just repairs. Just get a simple one." So we did, but for whatever reason, the local Home Depot didn't have it in stock. So we had to wait a day for delivery, and we were overrun with laundry. So I went to a local laundromat here, not far from my house. They didn't even turn the heat on in the building. It was nubs as shit. I mean, it was terrible.
So I had like 4 washers going at once because we were so, backed up, and I forgot which ones were mine. So I grabbed somebody's laundry and threw it into mine to dry it. And the lady that works there comes running over. She's like, "No, that was from the funeral home. They just dropped it off. Did you mix it with your stuff?" And I'm like, "Well, at least it was washed, right? At least it was washed." All right, there we go. Let's bring in the third member of our team.
Holy shit.
Long Island Luke Nocita, the Main Card Minutes podcast proprietor. Long Island, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling a lot better after that laundromat story. I was just dying at that. That was pretty funny, dude.
Thank you. Long Island Luke, you're going to have a betting show tomorrow morning at 3 a.m. on live on
No,
YouTube, or what?
we call it Main Card Minute for a reason. We're only doing the main card tomorrow, 6 a.m. bright and early still.
Oh, okay.
I'll be up at 5, but yeah, only doing the main.
He's like, "Yeah, I'm not getting up at 3, but I will get up before the sun comes up for this
I will
combination
let you know,
of marijuana and MMA watching."
that beginning at 3 a.m., the first 8 fights on tomorrow's UFC Fight Night card, none of the fighters have Wikipedia pages. So we're going 16 consecutive fighters without a face, without a name. It'll be interesting. Also, we have a great guest for you today at 12 Eastern time. He is a multi-time UFC heavyweight champion, and he likes grass on the field. I'm not talking about Randy Cooter. How about Kade Ruotolo as he continues his crossover from elite jiu-jitsu and grappling into legitimate MMA with 1 championship? So we'll be hitting that pretty shortly. Let's get into the show, though, if you're ready, right off the top. And it is topic number 1, and as we mentioned, it goes down tomorrow, 3 a.m. Eastern time start, 6 a.m. Eastern time main card start. It's UFC Fight Night Macau. And in terms of the main card, and particularly the main event, there's a lot going on here. How about a bantamweight banger as former champion Petr Yan comes in as a slight betting favorite against the rising former flyweight king, who is unbeaten now at the 135, Deiveson Figueiredo. Luke, this feels like royalty in terms of recent Fight Night main events for sure. This also feels like a number 1 contender shot in the making here as we await the winner at UFC 310 of Pantoja defending against the newcomer Kaya Sakura. Anything else at stake beyond just being an absolute badass matchup here and the pull of seeing, can Petr Yan turn it back and make another elite run to the title?
I just want to say, we judge these cards by how they are built and how they are labeled. So if it's a pay-per-view, it's got a number on it. We have a certain level of expectation. If it's an Apex card, that diminishes. And if it's a 6 a.m. card, even though it's on the road, it diminishes as well. And there are things about this card I don't like. I'm going to talk about the main event right now. For all the problems that this card has, and by the way, there's some gems on here too. It's really not that bad of a card, although to your point, it starts off nubs. This Fight Night main event I can't remember the last Fight Night main event I thought was this good and this important. I mean, let's consider the facts here for a second. Neither guy is washed, right? We're not getting old versus new. We're getting guys who, to your point, are vying for a number 1 contender spot, automatically, or at least we think a number 1 contender spot. It seems that way, right? Certainly in the case of Figueiredo, I believe that. With Yan, maybe not. It's a little harder to tell because he had the 3 losses and the 1 comeback. It was a really good win, but nevertheless. But still, we think a number 1 contender. You have 2 former champions, BC. A former champion versus a former champion still in the midst of doing some of their best work, we think. Then you have an interesting style clash because both guys in different ways are all action. Both can strike in their own way, and both can either wrestle or grapple in their own way, but they have multi-dimensional threats. And what makes it so interesting for me, BC, is we thought after Noche UFC that Sean O'Malley loses, Merab wins. Okay, Nurmagomedov was going to be next. In part, he's got the name. And then up to that point, he didn't have quite the resume that Figueiredo had, and certainly not the one that Yan had. But in terms of like relevant recent wins, he had just come off the Corey Sandhagen win. Well, that fight didn't materialize quickly between Merab and Usman Nurmagomedov. And so now we have a situation where one of these guys could leapfrog him. The winner of this could end up facing him, depending on how things go, or the winner of this could fight Sean O'Malley. Or I'm just pointing out, you've got Sean O'Malley at the top, you've got Usman Nurmagomedov at the top, and now you're about to get the winner of this fight at the freaking top for a fight night main event at what will approximately be 9 a.m. or so East Coast time. Dude, this rules.
This is amazing.
This fight is awesome. So all those factors to me make me feel like super excited about it.
I know, and I could dead wrong myself here on this Friday. Hey, Reg, you want to say hi to the people there? Shout out, right? Hope you're doing well. I want to dead wrong myself, and I somehow tied this bet right back into the flyweight division and what's coming up at 310. You nailed the actual what's going on here because we're talking about the bantamweight division, and we're talking about what's potentially next for Merab. I agree with you that it's wide open here with all the uncertainty of when Merab returns and against two, that either one of these guys, I mean, we made the argument that maybe Figueiredo already had deserved waiting around at 36 because maybe he had accomplished enough, but having to go one more step and having to do it against the former champion is going to potentially be thrilling and all action and incredible. But Luke, I want to spin a narrative and get a question from you as I look at the odds for this fantastic fight right here. As we come in, according to DraftKings, Petr Yan minus 310. I said a slight favorite, a little bit wider than that. A minus 310 favorite against the plus 250 Figueiredo. But Yan has lost 4 of his last 6, all against super elites. He is coming off a victory against Song Yadong. He is 31 years old. Are you expecting as we move forward, and maybe that's an explanation for why these odds are wider than I guess I naturally expected, is Yan all the way back from one fight? Are you worried about everything that went downhill for him after the illegal knee to Aljo? Is he back in your eyes exactly where he needs to be?
I'm not really sure he ever left. I mean, he obviously hit a down part of his career, and there were some real limits shown to his game. But like, there were 3 losses. Let's talk about them very briefly. It was the second Sterling fight. That was a split decision. And then it was the O'Malley fight. That was another split decision, which I thought, by the way, Yan won that one. Even going back upon review, sometimes I change my mind. I didn't about that one. I thought Yan won that one. And then it was the one to Merab. And Merab, I think, attempted something like 50 takedowns, BC. Some, you know what I mean? Like a really difficult, like a historically difficult matchup for just about anybody. So, okay, he wasn't at that. I mean, he had a time at the top of the division, and that kind of came to a close. He might be able to get back there. He's certainly doing well in beating Song Yadong. But like this notion that like, oh, you know, he began to lose to guys that he otherwise wouldn't have lost against. I think there's a little something to that. But when you have 2 split decisions against Sterling and O'Malley, former champion, and you lost to Merab, those are the champions of this division. Like he lost to 3 basically the champions in a row. It's like, okay, that puts him down in the pecking order, but it doesn't make him a chump, for crying out loud. It makes him pretty good. The Song Yadong win to me is not enough to know if he's all the way back or, you know, if he's at the peak of his powers relative to the Sandhagen fight or something like that. There was not enough there to let us know, but he looked pretty good in that one. He still seems feisty. He invites contact. His fights are not boring. He didn't change his style. I think a lot of that stuff was premature. That said, I would like to punt this for a second to Long Island Luke, because I understand Yan has obviously he's got a much better bantamweight resume. He was a former champion. Those odds seem a little strong to me. Long Island Luke, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. Like when I thought about this fight on paper before looking at the odds, I thought maybe a pick'em, maybe Figgy's a slight favorite. When I saw that Figgy was a huge dog, I was like, oh shit, I'm all over that. Yeah. So I do agree. I think I like Yan better in this fight, but given the odds, you got to take a chance on Figgy. He's only lost champions in the last 5 years. He's 3-0 at bantamweight. we mentioned it already. Jan has only one win in the last 3 years. Granted, they're split decisions. They're a little controversial, but still, man, I got to go with Figgy here.
BC, this is where I could thank you, Long Luke. This is where I come down on this, which is very simply, I don't think that Figgy is the same guy skill set wise as Aljamain Sterling. That's really not what I'm saying. But Sterling was able to have success in the second bout by both creating back exposure and then taking advantage of it, sometimes with takedowns, but obviously more often than not. That's exactly what Figueiredo is very good at doing.
Sure.
And he also, we know that his power carries. He's taken down in the last 3 fights. He had, who was it? Rob Font, Cheeto, and who am I forgetting? Garbrandt. He took all of them down. He took every single one of them down. I think he took Vera down, and he knocked Vera down, right? On top of it. It's like, how did they get odds this one-sided?
I don't get it. Yeah.
I'm a believer in Jan, and even I think they're one-sided.
I think everything you said about the 4 losses in the last 6 fights, it's overblown when you're not looking at the exact details, and you're really not looking at almost how much of a bad luck run he has had since that illegal knee, which was his fault, of course, at the time. But he's almost been forgotten about in this division over the past year because of those losses, as things have changed over, as we went through the O'Malley era into now Merab getting the big win. But look out, right? Another Nurmagomedov is right there knocking on the door. So I love the fact that Jan can be away, can come right back in, and can act like a badass and be given these badass odds. The question is, are those reflective of what we will see in the fight? I just don't think so. Are there limitations, maybe size-wise and other areas, to how far Figueiredo can go? I thought there'd been a lot more limitations given his age and given that I assumed when he had menacing power at flyweight, I assumed that would level off here. Now, what's happening at bantamweight is that he's really leaning into his counter shots. He's really putting everything he has in there, but he stayed himself a legitimate threat. And to your point, adding in the wrestling, kind of always has that badass gene in him, does Figgy, that, when the fights are close, when the moment's big, he does rise to that occasion. I can't put it together. Is it something about the way their styles clash, Luke, that would justify more seeing Jan come back this much of a favorite?
I think I'm trying to put my mind around like why they would have him that highly. I think what they would say is good wrestler, good scrambler, which is true in general. That is true. And that he is going to be much more capable of controlling range, is the better striker. And again, like obviously resume for resume, he's got a better resume in terms of the bantamweight division, certainly. So I think the presumption is that, there might be some threats to the ground game, back take. He probably won't be submitted. It's a 5-round fight, and he should be able to master range more effectively. Figgy does a lot of leaping into range. That is true. And I think a guy like Jan certainly has the capability of neutralizing that. But, that's tough. And you miss one of those, and that fucker's on your back. And he's very good. And he can give up position for submission, right? He'll let go of the back to chase a leg or something like that, right? I mean, he's got a real ability to find. I mean, how about Alex Perez having him in turtle and he turns to face him, and when he does it, it looks like he's going to give up mount or something, but instead he just wraps up the guillotine. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you just tangle up with him at any point. It's difficult. It's difficult to deal with that. So I understand. I'm not in any way like blown away by the notion that Jan is the favorite, but the heavy favorite to me seems a little premature.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Does it make me look like a falconeer being able to corral this kitten on this level, Luke?
This is the only cat I've ever seen that just doesn't show its butthole.
I mean, he's willing, but yeah, there you go. Thank you, Reggie. Shout out to him. Can we get to
he was like, tell me how my ass tastes, Kobe.
Kobe, please, too soon. Here is the face-off between the two of them. Figgy looking big in this matchup in terms of height, at the very least.
I was going to say the opposite. I was like, look at Jan. Jan's not a big guy in this division, and he's freaking bigger than
probably
Figgy.
the more fair answer in terms of interpreting that. But
also, my man Jan needs to visit Istanbul, get that hair situation locked in. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, all right. Jan's still about. I mean, it's not out of the question that Jan gets himself back into a title fight. So this fight is so big for him. But man, Figgy's momentum right now, it is it is saying something. It's shocking me. I mean, look, I never thought he was going to come back after being finished by Moreno at 34 in the smallest division where age does not age gracefully and win back the title the way he did. I don't know if I'm more or less shocked, probably more, that he's come back and had this 3-0 start against increasingly better competition. Is it safe to say, though, that Yan is a considerable leap from the 3 men he defeated, though?
Yes, absolutely. This is why before this fight, it felt to me like people being like, well, he beat more guys. And I'm like, yeah, but Usman beat Corey Sandhagen. Like, I'm sorry. That's just a much better win than anything up to this point. And even now, I mean, we'll see what happens on Saturday. No question. I mean, let's think about it. Font I mean this quite sincerely. I have a lot of respect for Rob Font's game. I think he's a quality fighter. I do think he's on the downside of his career. He's still dangerous, but that win is valuable, but not like overly, drastically important. The Garbrandt win was nice because it was UFC 300. He polished him off in the second round, nearly did it earlier in the round, and had to readjust and get it later by going from the head norm triangle to the rear naked choke. And then the Vera win to me was the most impressive. One, because he got 2 takedowns in the first round, a knockdown in the third round, and more or less kind of won the fight everywhere. But the knock on that would be that's the same Cheeto coming off of the beating that Sean O'Malley gave him, and was he exactly the same after that? So this is why Yan is such a step up. Again, it's not crazy to me that he's the favorite, but I just don't want to lose sight of the fact that, hey, 3 wins. I mean, this is the reality. He's technically on point at bantamweight, talking about Figueiredo. He physically is on point, both in the striking and the grappling. He's got a finish and has basically dominated the other fights along the way. There's a lot of reason for great optimism for what Figueiredo has done, obviously, and now can do going on to Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think we've kind of explained why the odds are the way they are the more that we talked about this. Luke, I think what you teased earlier is a realistic, situation. What if Yan is able to consistently stuff Figueiredo's advancements to the ground, and this does become potentially a 5-round kickboxing match? Is Figueiredo potentially in trouble in that scenario, or can he do what he's done at times, which is slow down the pace and land the bigger giant counter shots to really stand out in close back and forth trading? Maybe Yan will have that advantage if we go to full kickboxing here.
Yes, and I think Yan is much more clever on the feet at range. So, like, if Figgy is standing around or gets placed there or loses concentration for a moment, Yan is very, very clever about putting things together. Good to the body, good trips, good throws. That's the part I wonder about, like, to what extent he'll use that, because that also aids his stand-up game. But even without that, I think he'll be just fine, or, generally speaking. Yes, this is for Figueiredo. You got to get Yan. I mean, let's ask this. Like, what conditions does he have to establish to win? And by that, I mean, assuming you don't he makes a mistake and you get his back, like, what do you have to do? He has to be under duress in terms of understanding how much grappling he has to deal with. Because if you're Figueiredo, you just have to believe that, like, the cost to the grappling in this particular scenario is going to be the expenditure of energy. Is it a waste of time? Are you able to get dominant position? Are you able to keep it? That kind of a thing. But not in terms of, like, him getting the better of you in the grappling, right? I mean, even if he lands on top, dude, Figgy is going to work. I suspect that Yan wants no part of that. And so you have to, if you're Figueiredo, that has to be embedded into Jan's mind with pressure, with both strikes and takedowns or back takes or attempted back takes or whatever, scrambles. You have to make him very hesitant. And if you can do that, the world is your oyster. But it's Petr Yan. Good luck. You're going to need it.
Both fighters made weight, 135 for Figueiredo, 135.5 for Yan. I've loved seeing Yan back in the media cycle. He looks confident, funny as always. He's speaking English at a better stretch than I've ever seen from him. I saw him in his sit down with Shaquille Majori over there on the Shaq MMA channel. So
he's
Luke,
still texting you?
Not currently, but I get, I'm down with Shaq. I mean, the guy does like EDM a lot, Luke, a lot.
Nobody actually likes EDM. It's a mental disorder. That's
wow. Okay, that was a shot fired. Wow. Luke, when it comes time to figuring out who wins right here, yes, we've laid out how Yan can certainly do it. What you got? You got a sneaky path to victory here for Figgy? What do you got in terms of what goes down 5 rounds Saturday morning?
If I'm Figgy, and I mean this quite sincerely, if he is unable to really make if he is unable to capture the back for any meaningful period of time in this fight, or obviously I will grant getting Yan flat to the mat with his back, I think that's less likely, doable, but less likely. But really what I think is you have to make him hand and knee down. You have to you have to be able to capture the back and then hold it, as I mentioned, for meaningful periods of time. If he is unable to do that, I think his chances diminish pretty significantly. The thing is, I just think at some point he will be able to capture the back. The unknown to me is to what extent he will be able to keep it or make effective use of it. Does he just hold on like a koala bear and not do anything? Or is he really threatening subs, taking the mount, pounding on him, that kind of a thing? That to me is really the fault line where the fight is won and lost. Yan will give up his back a lot in scrambles, which is a nightmare problem against a guy like Figgy. So that to me, of all the battles, I mean, there's many battles, but that to me is the central one, because if that fails for Figgy, all the other problems they cascade into one another. But if you can meaningfully use that, everything else now has some oxygen breathed into it. That's your central fault line to pay attention to.
All right, I got Yan too. I think this one goes the distance. It's going to be fun as hell to see ultimately.
Well, I'll take Figgy. I'm sorry, BC. I apologize. I apologize so much. I'll take Figgy. I'll take a flyer on Figgy.
Okay. Wow. So I was going to ask you what Yan had to do to secure the next title shot. What does the winner have to do to cut the line, cut off Umar, and get this opportunity?
The calendar plays a big role, because now we're not going to get Usman in a title fight before Ramadan. If Merab wants to get out there and they can make it in the calendar, then, the winner of this bout obviously is going to be your top candidate. I do think Figgy can get a title shot from this, obviously, right? You beat Yan. I mean, at that point, he'll have been Font, Garbrandt, Vera, and Yan. Yeah, give that guy a title shot, especially if he's ready now. And by the way, clock's ticking on him. He's not a spring chicken, to the point you raised earlier. If Yan wins, it would only be 2 in a row. But I'll say this, if Yan finishes Figueiredo, give that man a title shot. I'd be totally okay with that. But the problem is this. Do you really want – I mean, I had to prepare for Merab and Sean. I went back and I watched the Merab and Yan fight. Dude, Yan just got thrashed. Not like beaten up, but he got thrashed.
He got spammed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to see that again? Like, Figgy is like, oh, take me down, fuckface. Yeah. Take me down. See what happens. I don't know, kind of fun.
Figgy has that plus ability to make big things happen in big moments when you don't expect it too. So that is sort of a clutch, explosive gene in him. You had mentioned Usman before. I assumed you were talking about Umar, though, right? When you're talking about Nurmagomedov.
Yes, I'm sorry. You're so right. Yes, I meant Umar, not the PFL Tour fighter.
But that guy's great, just the same. All right, let's get into this co-main event, Luke. And with 6 wins in her last 7 fights, and that only lost, by the way, a split decision, Tabitha Ricci is making a move. Do you think it's fair to say in this matchup that the UFC is trying to see whether Baby Shark can push herself into the top 5 when they give her 35-year-old Yan Xiaonan, who is fresh off that title loss to Zhang Weili?
So I think so. Obviously, Ricci is what, 30?
29.
Ricci is 39?
29.
Okay, I was like, yeah, Jesus. I was like, my math must be off. And I think Yan Xiaonan, obviously, 35 years of age. This is about finding out what Tabitha Ricci's got, whether she can be something in this division. She's had a good run, not a great run to this point. She's obviously coming off the Pennington and then Hill. Well, that's not Raquel. That would be obviously her spouse. And then the Hill win. And so those are good wins. Those are very good wins. She did lose to Godinez, but then she had some wins before that were also pretty good. Can wrestle a little bit. If you look at her numbers, BC, she averages 2.99, so basically 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. I mean, she's good for 1 a round. That's important. That's dominant. That's great control. That's something you're going to want. However, on the striking side, she absorbs 5.3 to the 4.6 that she lands. So she's got a negative differential. This is what I mean. They're giving her somebody who can strike, who has shown, I think, better takedown defense of late, although obviously in her last loss against Zhang Weili, Yan Xiaonan got run over there too. But in general, an experienced fighter in this division with a striking proclivity, it gives us some sense of who's coming or going. what kind of individual battles are you able to win? To what extent can you demonstrate growth in areas of need? It's good matchmaking. I actually kind of like this fight, but I just want to be clear. I am not sold on Tabatha Ricci as a title contender yet. I do recognize she is good, and I do recognize that she's getting better. I genuinely believe that, but I've not yet seen like crystal clear evidence of that plus ability where, you know, even in Blanchfield, who's had some setbacks, that win against Andrade, there were some real questions about her willingness to take too much damage. But the fact that she just like bit down on the mouthpiece through it and kind of ran her over a little bit, that is plus ability for me, right? There's other things that Blanchfield also needs to work on, but she had that one gear that's like that little gene you saw there. That's championship gene. You know, whether she can fully materialize it, we shall see. Anyway, with Ricci, a lot of ability, BC. I do like her, but there's still some stuff to prove.
Well, are you basically saying what a lot of us are thinking, that Ricci is getting better? 6 wins in the last 7, as I mentioned. Although 2 points here. One, she's a decision machine, so you certainly going to have questions about the lack of plus finishing ability at the highest level. And maybe 2, she's beaten a consistent level of fighters, the Angela Hills, the Tiny Tornado, as you mentioned, but hasn't taken a step yet up to this level. And, you know, she did fight someone on this level, although it was her UFC debut and she was stopped by strikes on her feet there against Manon Ferrot. So is it ultimately, Luke, the lack of finishing ability that gives you pause on believing that Ricci can get to the next level, which is pretty much number 1 contender / title shot?
I don't know. I mean, this division's weird, dude. Like, I don't know, dude. Let's back up a step, dude. Ricci is sitting at 10. Like, the value of this win is, yes, like all the things we just mentioned. But I think the fact that you raised some concern about the decision machine component to me, like, looms large here. There's a lot of left, like, she's not an overwhelming candidate for like, oh, this is the future of this division. I mean, there's a lot of ways for her to advance and to there's a lot of different ways in which she could develop and show us stuff. It's a long sort of way of answering that. Like, I don't know. I don't have any grand designs about her future or what, like, exactly what this portends for, you know, the top of this division. She's sitting at 10. Like, there's a lot of work in front of her. Yan Xiaonan sitting at 2 means she could get a big bump from this. That is obviously in play as well. You don't really see those kinds of differentials, but I don't know. I don't know if I answered your question, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is, BC, like, I recognize that she's got a little bit of a leg up on the division, but not in some kind of way where I feel overwhelmed by the inevitability of it, and therefore I haven't thought much about what that inevitability looks like.
And to be fair, a lot of her fights are super close. I mean, she fights a high volume offensive style, but seems to lack that big stamp to be able to put on fights at this level. So that's why this matchup is so desirable to see, because don't forget, Xiaonan, before the 5-round decision loss at the title level against Weili at UFC 300, had knocked out Jessica Andrade, had won a majority decision over a pretty decent version at the time of Mackenzie Dern. So Vegas still agrees that as we enter into this co-main event, Luke, Yan probably should win this, but it's close. Minus 192, Yan Xiaonan, your favorite, plus 160, Tabatha Baby Shark Ricci. Luke, I say this as an honest question, even though you strongly dislike when I bring up the power couple / outside the cage interests of these men and women in this sport. But do you believe that Ricci's association with unbeaten Irish boxer Callum Walsh, who Dana White doesn't promote, but spends a lot of money promoting and really, you know, is driving the ship on his career, could this help her get more face time, more opportunity? I mean, if she beats Yan Xiaonan coming off a title shot, does she have to pass any more steps to get into a title?
Here's the thing. Callum Walsh hasn't done anything either. Like, he's also kind of in a similar career position, promising future, lots to like from what we've seen. Obviously, his last win was really spectacular. You called the fight. You know what I'm talking about. But, like, you know, he's not even in the stage of his career where, like, asking what his signature win is even makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, we're not even there yet. So I don't think the association in any way hurts. And I think on the margins probably could be beneficial for her, because you're even asking about it. Like, other people are going to ask about it. It's going to become relevant. But at the same time, if you have, I mean, you mentioned her being a decision machine. Like, why is that? Why is someone a decision machine? There's a lot of reasons, but the main one is they have a difficult time actually inflicting damage, especially when in the wrestling sense, because they can't negotiate the need for control positions to be somewhat relented in order for damage to be there, right? That negotiation becomes hard for them, so they err on the side of control position, and then they can't get a lot of damage in. That's a big problem for her. I mean, if you're averaging 3 takedowns per 15 minutes, that's a lot. That's a very high number. That's higher than a lot of championship fighters. And again, they're fighting elite, more elite contenders, but you get my point. That's a big number, and you're still a decision machine. That tells me you have damage problems, which means, is the UFC really going to favor that more than what they like about the fact that she's dating Callum Walsh? You know what I mean? Like, there's at play at the core of this, there's a much more substantive challenge for her. Those things can help, but they can't fix that if that remains a consistent issue.
Sure, fair answer. I was just, it's interesting to bring up because she has sort of gotten her profile's raising, but you also get a rising profile when you win 6 of 7, which she's done. So the question here is, Luke, can she do it against the 35-year-old Yan Xiaonan? I think that, I don't know, maybe Ricci's like a better version than a prime Tisha Torres Pennington, but Tisha had that same limitation where she could be in, she can handle herself well against the super elite, but typically not have that plus to get over the top and do anything but lose a competitive decision. Ricci seems to be a little bit more varied in her variety of striking, but maybe the lack of finishing power is the same formula. We're going to find out against Yan. Can she get her hand raised, Luke?
Yeah, I think she can. I think Yan Xiaonan has very suspect takedown defense. I think she can be dangerous. I really do believe that. I think she can survive. So I definitely feel like, hey, Long Island Luke, you're going to take the over on this one, right? I mean, this one definitely hits the over.
You actually called it right on the head. I'm taking the over 2.5 in the parlay.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's funny, BC? I don't gamble. It doesn't bring me joy. You know what I mean? Like
I'm not gamble with your soft drink choices, to be fair.
That's it. I gamble in other ways, but like I don't gamble. I don't bet on sports for money. It doesn't feed my soul in any kind of way. But if people love it, no problem. But if I try to gamble, I can't do it very well. If I try to think of what Long Island Luke might gamble as, then I actually feel like I come up with better gambling, which I feel like is a testament to how, good
what
his
you're
reads
really
are.
saying is guys like me and LIL grew up as degenerates, whereas you somehow sidestepped that, but then acquired your own degeneracy over time through, grief and angst.
I unless I had stupid money, I could never understand the joy of gambling. I just don't get it. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't move me at all. Like I don't know. I mean, I'm also dead inside. So what the fuck am I talking about? You know what I mean?
Yes,
there is that. Yeah, Ricci's gonna win.
Yeah, I got a feeling Ricci can get this done too. I'm gonna back her as the small underdog in this one. Luke, there are a few other interesting things going on this undercard. I mean that sincerely. Obviously, the full preliminary card is aimed at that market for sure in Southeast Asia there, as this will air live in Macau. But how are we going to pronounce this, Luke? Wang Song? I think people are saying it's spelt like Kong, but it's Tong or Song. Which one is it? I
don't fucking know.
I went back and listened to Brendan Fitzgerald's call of it. It's Wang Tong. So with a T.
I know, but didn't they update it afterwards as something different than that?
I'm
just
going
well, Luke, everybody have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Tong tonight, because she is an entertainment machine as she once again dressed up like the Joker, but she is so committed to the character that along with her ability, and don't forget, she's going to have that asterisk or that appeal to her that she has a victory over Valentina Shevchenko in kickboxing back in 2015. But what I also loved about Wang Tong, do you remember that promo she cut after her UFC debut where she basically was like, hey, Dana, Hunter, why do you put me in the first fight of the night in the Apex with nobody here? It was like her way of saying, I'm primetime and I'm coming. Dude, watch this video of her at the face-off here and tell me this isn't a superstar that knows what to do and is ready to go full bloom, full global on us.
就是 great, 太棒了，就觉得
Yes, I feel great. I feel super happy, especially when I find out I'm fighting on the main card. I want to kiss Dana on his head.
首秀的话，可能是在拉斯维加斯吧。
Because my debut, I had it in Vegas. I was a little bit nervous, but right now, that's my place, you know. I feel really good.
我没有什么经验，我就觉得我很享受
Yeah,
这
she
些。
enjoyed getting the attention. She wants to be a superstar. That's how she.
That's the wrong clip. Although it's funny saying she wants to kiss Dana on the head, but she did the Joker thing again.
Yeah, and Luke, the commitment to character was almost insane with the guns thing, and I mean, damn, I mean, how much of a feel as we enter her second UFC fight, as she is going to be on the main card against Gabriela Fernandez here at women's flyweight. How much of a feel so far do you have? And it's so early that she could like quickly rise the ranks here, and maybe we got a storyline with her and Val.
Yeah, I'm not saying that she's the women's Alex Pereira. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if she's trying to do that, that's the blueprint she's trying to follow. I've got a date with the champion of this division. We have history together, and I'm coming to reclaim it in this area, even though they got a head start on me, and watch me just start bulldozing people along the way. Whether she will do that remains to be seen. But BC, like, if you're looking like what's the blueprint, that's it. The Poetan blueprint. And she has I'm excited to see her, dude. Like finally I don't know what her takedown defense is going to look like against the UFC level opposition, but her striking is fucking awesome. She's got one hitter quitter power in this division, which is unusual. Like, yeah, sign me up.
Luke, Vegas believes she might show that power. A minus 950 favorite is Tong, plus 625 for Fernandez. I don't know who is Gabriela Fernandez, Luke? The name's not jumping out to me here. Is there a reason why? Is this
it's about to be a victim, it sounds like.
Is this a 12-12 type? I mean, what do we got going on?
I don't know.
She's 1-2 in the UFC.
Yeah, I mean,
split decisions. Yeah, nothing.
Listen, Wang Tong has a long way to go, but you got to love what she's already shown us. It's great.
I love that moxie, that spirit. Hey, Luke, I love what we're going to see in the light heavyweight division with the violence that Carlos Ulberg and Volkan Ozdemir are angling to do, both looking for a spot in that top 5, with 205 kind of being wide open at the moment. And Ozdemir riding a 2-fight win streak, although he certainly has juggled wins and losses aggressively ever since that title opportunity that feels like forever ago. But No Time is back here, and Ulberg is hot, Luke. He also has won a lot of fights, but he's a very good-looking guy, Luke, to be fair. What are you feeling about who has the right skill set to one-up the other? Because the winner here can make a statement, that they're coming on in this title ranking.
I love this fight. It's chaotic. It's bat crazy. It probably won't go long. The thing is this, like, if you look at Ulberg's striking numbers, they are dramatic. I mean, strikes landed per minute, 7.41, strikes absorbed, 3.6. 3.6 is a little on the high end, but if you're landing 7.4, which is on the extreme high end, something's going pretty right. I have not been overall impressed is the wrong word. I have not yet seen clear evidence that Ulberg has a kind of game that's really built for longevity, that's built for foundational kind of striking attacks, and then, stuff built off of that. He's got a lot of explosive attacks that he's able to land on opponents who make mistakes or overcommit, and sometimes he makes them do it. Like, he's a talented guy. Please don't misunderstand me. But it's not the same as, like, I've got to break this guy down slowly over time to really get anywhere, which some level of opposition, you simply have to do that. Whereas Ozdemir has done stuff like that. However, Ozdemir at times, his defense has gotten better, actually. I feel like his head movement has gotten a lot better. But he's got renewed confidence. So to me, it's like Ozdemir has a more well-rounded game and a more foundationally constructed game. But Ulberg is rangy, dangerous, fast, powerful, accurate, very accurate with his striking. That is a tough guy to beat. So we'll see what Ozdemir does.
And Ulberg, Luke, 6 straight wins since getting knocked out in his UFC debut. The last 5 wins by stoppage. He is 34 years old. You did identify that. Takes big chances, gets big results here. But if he stops Ozdemir in kind of a shootout, that's going to say something, Luke. That's 7 in a row, and this is the level of name he has certainly needed right now. We could be looking at big things for for good old Carlos Ulberg here.
I mean, just think about it, dude. If Poatan beats Ankalaev, I was talking about this yesterday. If Poatan beats Ankalaev, you know, I almost want Jones to fight him. I mean, not before he fights Aspinall, but like what I mean is, if Poatan beats Ankalaev, who's the next guy you're excited about Poatan facing? I didn't say who's the next contender. I said, who are you excited to see Poatan face if he gets past Ankalaev? There isn't anybody. And I'm not saying Ulberg is that guy to, like, you know, electrify the world, but he might be. Maybe he goes in there and blows the fucking doors off of Oezdemir and makes a great call out. And you're like, okay, winner of this. All right, let's see what we can do here. You know what I mean? But like, there's just nobody who is like trying to become the next exciting contender at 205 with any great success beyond Ankalaev. And even that was kind of a struggle.
Yeah, indeed. As we enter this matchup, we have Oezdemir at number 8, Carlos Ulberg at number 10 at 205 pounds. So it's looking good here, Luke. You mentioned Ozdemir's confidence. That 2-fight win streak, those were both finishes, including that knockout of Johnny Walker. So he feels ready. 35 years old, still in the picture here for him. But is Ulberg quicker, a little bit more dynamic, and
Yes.
ballsy enough to stop this man and make that statement? I think he does. I think he can. Before you make that prediction, Luke, let me tell you, odds-wise, that we're looking at minus 245 for Ulberg, plus 200 for Volkan.
Plus 200. That's a little. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That's interesting. I could see the faster Ulberg being a real problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if you take him down, he does like the kind of takedown defense where he's hammer fisting your ear or elbowing it, and with like quick succession, like there's no room for error. You have to really like get to his back. I don't know if Oezdemir is that guy. So Oezdemir more skillful, but older and slower, even though there's not a huge age difference, just in terms of like their athletic ability. Ulberg, not as well rounded, but has a ton of speed and explosivity and accuracy. That's going to be a fun one, actually. I like it.
Yeah, I believe in the odds here. I believe Ulberg can do it, but Oezdemir is one of those guys. He's stubborn enough that you can't count him out. And if you're looking for him to get old or get caught by something, he's just the same. Might, you know, take on all the damage and land something big too. I remember that fight with Prochazka, Luke. That was wild as shit, right?
Yep, that was. He's definitely won fights that I was a little surprised that he won, and then he's lost fights that I was like, what the hell were you doing?
He's the new OC in that same regard, which means you can never really bet on his fights because he's so unpredictably explosive in the other direction. Long Island Luke, where do you read this one as a degenerate gambler?
I was gonna say, of course you can bet on his fights. I'm taking him as a dog, man. I got him at plus 250. You mentioned he's down to plus 200 now. I don't know, man. It's worth a shot. I don't think Carlos Ulberg is that impressive. Let me see the notes I got.
He's not.
Here.
But here's the thing,
his
dude.
DMs are probably impressive.
Oh, his
Right, how about
DMs are
this?
probably a fucking. I mean, just,
Lord.
it's
Wow.
insane. Someone told me this. I haven't verified it, so this could be fake news. But someone told me, actually, you know what? It may have been the Submission Radio guy, that to take this fight, he had to turn down the Bachelor Australia or like the Bachelor New Zealand or whatever.
Damn.
So you know, I mean, he's on the verge of doing some great things. I guess.
You know what?
But
You know what he said by doing that? He said Poontang can wait. There's only one chance, right? One shot to do this. So I applaud that.
Yeah, I know he made a choice for his career and the fighting side. I respect it. The thing is this: he's limited, but he is dangerous. And if you're really not ready for that, it could be a big problem.
Luke, do we have a result on the Conor McGregor case? Is that today?
I haven't checked Twitter, but we are supposed to. The jury is deliberate, or at least last I checked, the jury is deliberating. Yes.
And did you see D. Devlin accompanied?
Oh, here we
Conor's
go. Yes, we have breaking news.
Okay.
We have breaking news. Conor McGregor has been found guilty of rape in a civil court. And I want to be very clear about something. This was not a criminal charge. I do not know why a criminal charge was not brought, but this was a civil charge. You might recall, many of you were not alive for this. It's not your fault, as BC likes to make fun of me for. When O.J. Simpson was acquitted, the Goldman family still sued Simpson, and there was a subsequent civil trial after that, and that's where they were able to at least get a judgment for his wealth. Whether they got it in the end, I don't know, but that was where it happened. So something similar is here. He is not facing criminal sanction. Conor
Luke,
McGregor
I believe that the local local authorities determined that there wasn't enough evidence. Am I wrong to make it anything but a civil case?
So
it got dismissed.
When you say enough evidence, the you have to be very careful about what that means. Like enough evidence in the sense that they have no forensic evidence, and it just becomes a contest of he said.
Well, they
she
dismissed
said.
it. They dismissed the criminal trial. That's
Or it's a question of like what you believe you can actually prove in a
Sure.
court of law to jurors, and these are these are very different considerations.
same ideal said differently. I get the distinction, but yeah, that's
It's not
ultimately what I'm
necessarily
saying.
I mean, it can be the same. It's not necessarily the same. You could have some very interesting evidence, but that evidence can sometimes be for jurors who aren't of legal experience, hard to help them understand what it might actually mean. So it's like, again, it's not what you believe or what you even know. It's what you can prove. And these are separate considerations. But I don't know. I honestly don't know why there was no criminal charge ultimately brought. But he is facing, because of this, significant financial penalty. What that will look like, I guess we're going to find out here soon.
So Pat Healy, who is a reporter for the Irish Daily Star and Irish Mirror, says total damages 248,000 euros. So really not that much money. $250,000.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah, it
plus
wasn't a
another
crazy high price.
60,000. Yeah.
I think she was more seeking just to, have her day at court and let her voice be heard and have this be, taken seriously after. I mean, she went through hell, Luke, to even get to this point of the trial.
Well,
What
I
do you
mean,
think
there's
this-
been a lot of Conor McGregor victims, alleged or otherwise, who in the time after they interacted with Conor, there was the one person who had the home. I mean, was this her, the one who had the home invasion afterwards?
I believe so.
Yes.
So.
There was another one who had her car set on fire. Again, everyone out there can decide the relevancy of these facts, but they are certainly alarming at a bare minimum.
Well, don't forget, when I was in Ireland for that Callum Walsh fight, I'm not kidding. I asked every single Irish person about Conor, and the response every single time was "fuck him." Like, not even joking, Luke. So this is Luke, is it true to say he's a convicted rapist? That's going to be the lingering label for how long, Luke? What I mean,
he
is this
was found liable for rape in a civil case. That's not. I don't know if that's the same thing as being a convicted rapist, because that usually, again, that implies criminal charges.
I get what you're saying.
It's I'm not.
But label wise, this should follow him, Luke. This should matter.
It will follow him. It will follow him. Now, also, there is a difference as well. In Ireland, I actually looked this up. Ireland and U.S. share a very similar justice system in the following way, namely that when you have a criminal case, the prosecution has to prove your doubt, or your has to prove your guilt, you're guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. In America, if it's a civil case, it's a different evidentiary standard. It's called a preponderance of evidence. Meaning, like, in general, enough of the evidence weighs in that direction. It's not as high of a evidentiary threshold as, beyond a reasonable doubt. So it was, in a sense, from a how do we prove this person guilty perspective, it's a easier conviction to come by. However, to the point that you raised, just to get to this stage for this woman has, at a bare minimum been, exceedingly nightmarishly difficult. I don't mean to undermine it in that sense, just that the case that they had to prove was under a different evidentiary standard.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, this is a major thing to happen to any athlete, famous person, really anyone. So to add this onto where Conor's at in the public eye and everything going on, I mean, look, it seems crass to spin this into a question about fighting, but if he's taking a big enough financial hit here, or maybe it really isn't that much in all things considered compared to what the wealth he's acquired, but does this lead him back to the cage? Does all this bad press lead him back there? Is this, does this cause a big change and turn in his life? I mean, I was shocked to see D. Devlin arm in arm with him the last few days heading into the courtroom.
Dude, I might have to go grab Tukey for just a second, but what I was going to say is, oh, Jesus, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, she was just banging on my door and it fucking derailed me. But yeah, I mean, she was there. Here's what I was going to say. He might fight again, BC. He might. We don't know. I mean, there's no guarantee, but he might. He might even win again, depending on how it goes. But like anything that you understand about the McGregor fighting experience, and I know we know this, but I just want to be very clear about it on a day like today, it's completely over. Like, it's over. It's over. Like, this guy is living, for better and for worse, a completely different life utterly disconnected from what it means to prize fight. The guy is in bar rooms and courtrooms. He is not doing any of the things that lead you to any kind of excellency in his chosen sport. And again, absent today's and this trials thing, it's like, you know, earning well through prize fighting. It's his right to enjoy it. But I just want to point out, like, look at how disconnected in every way his life is, with the exception of the promotion of BKFC, which it looks like, you know, does he look sober for those? I mean, I'm not even trying to be mean. He doesn't even.
I mean,
look sober
literally
for
is
those.
drinking beer on the side of the.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like,
system,
it's so fucking over, right? Right? Am I wrong, BC? Like,
no, you're not wrong, and obviously, this should really change the way he's looked at, talked about, and everything. I mean, this is not the only incident or alleged, you know, thing thrown at him of late. So you can't live this life, Luke. We made the crash joke about the 365 consecutive days. It seems that he's just partying full on rock star, but there's a reckoning to come when you live this lifestyle. So it's there's a rough day for that, you know, for his reputation, for everything in that regard. Dang.
No question about it.
All right, Luke, tough transition, but we do have a fantastic guest ready to join us. Just 21 years old, one half of the submission star Ruotolo twins, Kade Ruotolo of One Championship, and he is now in MMA, and this 2-0 fella is coming on. Kade, welcome to Morning Kombat. Dude, what you're doing in this transition to MMA is waking a lot of people up. Consider me one of them. Congratulations on the early success. It looks easy for you out there.
Oh, thank you so much. Excellent intro as always. Thank you guys. Great to see you boys. Man, I was super stoked to get it done in the first or 62 seconds. I think it was something like that. Yeah. So I was making a joke. It was funny. I was like, man, I've been more hurt in all of my jiu-jitsu stuff than my MMA stuff so far.
So great to see you so active. I mean, the fact when you went in there against a legit opponent, well, how do I pronounce his last name? I've been all over the place with that.
Yeah, it was I believe if I'm not mistaken, Mujtaba. Yeah, one of
Mujtaba. And not just make it look easy, but to flash the striking and the big looping right hand that set it up, and to hear the names you're willing to mention afterwards. It doesn't seem like this is a hobby. It seems like you're ready to arrive and make noise. But do you mean it? If they called you for something crazy, a title shot, anything, are you ready right now to continue to, with the short film on you, to continue to make splashes in the sport?
Absolutely. I believe what's given me this confidence is my coaches. You know, when it comes up to grappling, it's no secret. You know, my brother and I we're you know, that's our thing, right? You know, when it comes up to grappling, we know for sure that we're gonna get that sub. So it's kind of just been a mixture of just figuring out the striking and how to merge the grappling in with the striking. And thank God for my coaches, Tyler Wombles and Eric Paulson. Tyler Wombles is some of the technical side of the striking. You know, that high-low over was the finish that we got in the last fight. And then Eric Paulson for merging that all into the grappling world and also with the striking and also on the ground. So the best team behind me has just been building so much confidence. And there's honestly, when I look at the roster, you know, any roster, One Championships, UFC, I feel like with how my progression's been going, there's no reason why I shouldn't have a strap around my waist.
All right, Kade. I got a bunch of questions. I want to go back to Eric Paulson in just a minute. But the first thing I'm going to ask is, you know the story. So early UFCs, all the jiu-jitsu guys had great success. And then over time, it began to fade. And even guys like Hadra Gracie, who we hold in very high esteem, but it wasn't like an overwhelming, dominating force in MMA. And it kind of went out of favor. And then I see you guys come along, and you in particular, obviously, with this last win, just you know, dynamite. And I have such a different feel for the possibility of grapplers doing well in MMA. What am I picking up on? What is different now about you and what you're doing than even, you know, again, no shade on Hadra, one of the best to ever do it, if not the best, but it just feels very different from that.
That's a great observation. I think there's two main things. I think one is learning how to strike. I think a lot of grapplers think they could get away with, you know, maybe just the 1-2s and shoot, right? When in reality, at least for what I've been learning, is you're never going to find that entry unless you gain their respect on the feet, you know? So actually, you know, giving them something to worry about other than the grappling, other than the jiu-jitsu. And aside from that, I think, when for MMA, when jiu-jitsu guys would go to MMA, most people, when they come from a jiu-jitsu, especially a high level jiu-jitsu, world champions in jiu-jitsu, a lot of the times that could be more like sport jiu-jitsu. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like a lot of the guard, delihiva, barambolos, more the technical side of jiu-jitsu, which I think doesn't really translate to MMA as well. If you look at my brothers and I, our game has always been, since we were 3 years old, really takedown, pass, and submit. So I feel like, with that, it just translates so much better to MMA as far as, because that's what you do when you're in there. You can't really just pull guard and eat hammer fist. You got to take the guy down, pass the guard, and submit, right? So, yeah.
But also, it feels like, everyone's talking about pinning and wrestle ups, and it's just a different conversation. Even outside of MMA, inside of jiu-jitsu, it's like, I guess sort of what I'm asking is the most modern kind of jiu-jitsu, the kind you play, and everyone's got their own style, but yours is obviously a very modern style. Yeah. Is that itself better suited for MMA these days?
I believe 100 and in the most humble way possible, 110%. In the most humble way possible. I don't think there's been a level of jiu-jitsu that my brother and I bring to the table in MMA and a very long time, if ever. I think just the ability to snatch a submission from anywhere, where guys are usually trying to hold them down, or you're getting held down. I feel like there's so many. I'm always watching fights and being like, oh, that was a sub, that was a sub, that was a sub, right? So I mean, even for one guy I consider one of the most complete fighters right now, like Ilia Topuria. I think he's got amazing striking, amazing grappling, great wrestling, defense, just so complete as a fighter. And I was watching some of his fights, one of Ryan Hall, a couple, and I've seen a lot of entries where I'm like, man, if I got there, I don't think he would have escaped that. So the confidence level on the ground is at all-time high. So I believe we just got to keep the striking to match it, and we'll be seeing some big things in the future.
It's funny you bring that up. Ilia Topuria is BC's favorite fighter. He loves him. So
no
I'm glad you brought that up. If I may, how did you get hooked up with Erik Paulson? Now, for folks who don't know, Erik Paulson was a guy, combat sports wrestling from years and years ago, worked with Josh Barnett, among a million guys, a complete wizard of MMA and grappling and all the different connection. I think he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, right? But he's also like a catch wrestling guy. It's a whole thing. How'd you get hooked up with him?
He is one of the most knowledgeable people I have ever met in my entire life. I think he has like a photographic memory where once he sees something, he never forgets it. He's truly a very special person. Our sponsor Tenori, Pat Tenori, he created this new brand. He did his thing back in the day with Ruka, and now he's onto Tenori, and he's built a beautiful facility. And he's been like a mentor to me growing up, so he's always put me in the hands of some of the greats. And as of recently, when I was coming to him, I really wanted to make my MMA debut. I felt like I was getting better. I was training, but I wasn't training at one specific spot. I was kind of just getting training all over. I came to him. I was like, I need a head coach, So he was like, you know what, Erik Paulson, he's kind of retired right now, but let me call him up and see what. And I called coach, and he was like, let's do it. He took the task on, and I couldn't be happier. He's been so detrimental to this. Well, to my fight career, only 2 fights, right? But so far, he's been so detrimental to my 2 fights. Just beyond thankful to have him by my side, and a massive confidence booster for the entire future.
Great relationship to build right there, for sure. When it comes to the idea of advancing and making the decisions necessary on your next choices in MMA matchmaking, like we love when prospects come in and get finishes, because there's always that lingering question of, as great as they look, especially when they're leaning into their strengths, what happened gas tank wise if it goes the 3 rounds? What happens, to all the things, all the unknowns. When you're literally in this position, would you prefer your next fight is a 3 or 5 round war where you get to prove exactly that to everybody? Or is it better on the journey to see that incrementally each fight have to show a little bit more?
Yeah, that's a great question. If it was jiu-jitsu, it's just get the submission as quick as possible. But like you said, there is that small feeling of wanting to experience going into the deeper rounds, because the cardios are so much different, right? There's completely different cardios and pacing. It's just so much different in the 2 sports. So, there is that feeling that I do kind of want to experience and feel that and go into the 3rd and 4th and 5th round eventually, right? But, for me right now, I say that, but every time I step in there, I think I just want to get it done ASAP.
Well, how busy can we expect you? And like for real, how many wins do you think you're away from crashing the title picture and getting that call if you can keep this progression up?
Yeah, I believe you know, I think it's super dependent on who my next couple matchups are and everything like that. But you know, I don't think there's no reason why not by the end of next year that we're there. You know, like I said, I got the best possible team behind me in my eyes. You know, we got a lot of confidence and a lot of time just to skill building it better. So yeah, super excited, and probably by the end of next year, probably hopefully be looking for that title.
Well, you're 2-0 here at lightweight, and if we look on the One Championship calendar coming up, we've got one Fight Night 26 live on Prime Video, and that's going to go down December 7th in Thailand. Christian Lee, the lightweight champion, of course, a 2-division champion with one, will make that return after 2 years away. Alibag Rasulev is the opponent as he comes back. How interested are you in seeing what the champ looks like? And, you know, we understand the journey of that he's been on in his family of losing their younger sister, and to see him come back, get right back in the fire. What are your expectations there for December 7th?
Man, as far as expectations, I'm not sure. I know Christian, the double-time champ, is an animal, you know. I'm more so just excited to see it and just kind of study it and play out the results and see what happens from there. You know, Christian obviously is solidified as the 2-time champ, and even his younger brother, Adrian, I think now is making some waves in the platform as well around the same weight. So, you know, obviously got some eyes on those guys. You know, it's the champ of the division, so that's always where the goal is set. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that bout. I think it's gonna be a sick matchup. I'm looking forward to see it, and you know, just take some little things away for sure.
For sure, yeah, definitely. When we look at you and your brother, and you guys got such a cool image, just 21 years old, you totally got that surfer bro vibe. I feel like, you know, we could turn off the cameras and go. We should get that Mike Tyson bong, Luke, and really get that thing fired up. All right. Born in Hawaii, raised in Southern California, was that surfer lifestyle sort of just everything you fell into, and it kind of explains who you are today?
Yeah, for sure. You know, my dad said this the other day in a clip, and I didn't even really realize it until he said, "Oh my God, it's kind of true." He's like, "Honestly, if I think the boys are like that surfers that do jiu-jitsu." Like, it's kind of, we started all of our sports at the same time. You know, surfing, skating, jiu-jitsu. You know, honestly, surfing was the one that we always loved the most. That was our joy. You know, and jiu-jitsu we always loved too. Obviously, it's so much joy, but it turned into a job over time, right? So obviously still a bunch of love for it, but also the pressures and everything that come with that. Surfing has always just been our escape and our you know, just what we love to do. So it gets our mind off fighting, our mind off any sort of stress. And yeah, so since we were 3 years old, we've been in the water, you know, and now we're starting to learn some different, like spear fishing we just recently got into, and
no way.
Just the water in general. Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, it's going to sound like a real stupid question. I'm sure that it is. So how hard did you ever try competitive surfing, or was it just a relaxation thing?
Yeah, no, that's not a stupid question. Like growing up, we were doing like little local comps sometimes. Where I grew up in Huntington Beach, there was a Huntington Beach city comp. I remember me and my brother both made it to the final. I took him out in that one. It was like a 4-person final. And then he got me back at another one. But we were always competitive in everything we did, even surfing. So we never got to a level like that was, you know, of professional or anything like that. But just like local and pro comps for, you know, the community and things like that, we dabble in for sure.
Okay, so for someone who's never surfed, what is the hardest thing to do in surfing?
I always say it depends on your comfortability in the water, right? If you're a good, strong swimmer and you're comfortable and you're not scared of the ocean, you're going to pick surfing up like that because it's really not that hard. But if you have a fear of the ocean, the water, and that's what makes it really difficult to learn, I feel like, because then every time, you know, you even try to catch a wave, you fall off, you're trying to get back on your board, right? It's just high tension, high pressure. It doesn't allow for the best learning, you know? So, how hard is it? What was the question again? How hard is it?
Of all the things to learn to get good at surfing, what's the hardest one?
The hardest, I would say, honestly, probably just catching the wave, to be honest with you. You wouldn't even think that, but the cardio it takes and the shoulder strength, right? I think that's why surfers always make some of the strongest people. My dad, if you train with my dad, he feels like an ox. Like Kelly Slater, for example. I remember training with him way back in the day. And when I trained with him, I was like, this is like the strongest individual. He's, you know, blue belt. He's like, he doesn't look very strong, but 11-time surfing world champion. I'm like, dude, he's got iron grips, you know? So probably the paddling part and just getting into the wave usually is one of the hardest. The balance, a lot of people can figure it out.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so you won the $1 million with CJI. Now, I'm not trying to pry into your finances, but I will ask this. Did you buy anything fun with that $1 million?
Anything fun? To be entirely honest, I didn't. I didn't. I'm not going to give you guys the answer y'all want to hear. I bought a Lambo. I bought a... No, I didn't. What I invested into a little bit of property in Costa Rica, and then really the only other purchase I made, which I needed a new car because I'd gotten T-boned like the week before in my truck. So
seriously,
I got yeah, it was a nasty one too. So I drove a nice big Tundra, lifted everything. So 2010, it was back when they still had the steel. It's not plastic anymore. So still had the steel, and yeah, I think it was going 55 and it hit me perfect. But thank God I was in the big truck. But yeah, anyways, long story short, I needed a new car. I just got a little, I couldn't believe I found this deal. It was a 1991 4Runner manual, stick shift 4x4 with 90,000 or 81,000 miles. And, I was like, I gotta take it. I was so rad. So I got that thing.
Dude, there's a lot of guys. I mean, me and BC are just old pieces of shit, but I know a couple of dudes in their 20s that are buying like vintage Jeeps or like vintage, to the kind of thing you're buying. Is there like am I picking up on just like two individual instances, or is it like a wider thing happening?
No, there's definitely it's crazy how, I mean, you can look at some of these, like some of those older Toyotas, you know, the 22Rs and 22R whatever motors, like some of those things are, you know, however years old, 30 years old, and they're selling for 30 grand. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So there's definitely a full niche in that world, you know, and man, those trucks never die on you. They go forever. They're so simple. You could fix everything in the car, you know? So yeah, I love that compared to all the new computer gadgets in the cars and things like that.
Kade, when it comes to grappling's future and Mikey Musumeci, getting the big headline there, signing exclusively with UFC and their growing intentions of what they're trying to do across all of combat, what is the future right now coming off of Craig Jones Invitational and the huge success there? How excited are you? What are your expectations moving forward?
Yeah, when you're talking grappling, I think all of it. I think grappling is in such a good spot, a good future, a place where it's definitely never been. I think it's kind of leaning towards a future where you don't have to move into MMA or open up a gym to make money. You know, there's so much money now in jiu-jitsu and prize money and like what was Nicky Rod saying after he won the CJI, all these things? He was like, yeah, I'm a millionaire and I don't have to get punched in the head, right? So like, you know, for jiu-jitsu, I think it's all good, it's all healthy. You know, and anytime there's all these big platforms, healthy competition for one another, you know. So between one championship, the fight pass, the whatever, you know, flow grappling, ADCC, CJI, all that stuff, I think at the end of the day, it's just good for all the athletes within the sport, and I'm stoked to see it.
Final question: what is new with your brother Ty? What's going on? What can we expect to see from him in the future?
Yeah, so Ty's doing good. He's just on the road to recovery. You know, I'm kind of in the same boat with him the end of this year, just recovering alongside him. You know, he did some damage to his knee, pretty gnarly, a bunch of ligaments and things like that got torn. So he's just been healing that up, and he's looking. It's the most frustrating thing, you guys. I mean, I've been putting all this work into MMA and thinking like I'm getting way slicker with my striking, this and that. I'll go box my brother because his knee's bad. It's kind of the only thing he could do. And we're still, I feel like right here, you know, he hasn't been putting in the same work to say none of it. And everything we do, it's just, I swear we progress together, even if he's not training. So, yeah, and next year, I know he's going to take some heads down in MMA, make some big waves there, probably even bigger than me. And obviously in jiu-jitsu as well. I think next year is going to be a really big year for us.
Can't wait to see. Thanks so much for your time. Kade Ruotolo coming to grappling mats and one championship cages near you soon. Continued success. Great talking with you, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kade.
Thank you so much, boys. Likewise, straight back at you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
One love, indeed. There was Kade Ruotolo. Luke, a great personality as well. Looking for big things from the 21-year-old twins. I mean, for him to say, yeah, my brothers might go even further than me in MMA, it's got to get you excited about what might happen here.
Yeah, there's simply no question. Hard to dislike those boys.
Yeah.
Hard
All right,
to dislike those boys.
let's get running, Luke, to close out the show. We do have a few more topics. And,
If I may, BC, very quickly, I've retweeted it, and you can do it the same. Nikita Hand, this is the woman at center of the Conor McGregor rape conviction, or again, whatever I'm not sure what you call it, but she is speaking to the media. I've retweeted her statement. Yeah, if you want to check that out. There,
you want to read it, Luke? Is it?
It's I can't. It's this. It's her speaking.
Okay.
You can see
Gotcha.
right there.
I got you. Thank you so much. Good thing you didn't have the wrong screen on there on the phone, Luke, and we were looking in that private folder. That would have been something. Hey, topic number 2. Hey, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fought last Friday, and we're still talking about it. And Netflix is able to make the rounds and share of that this was a monster success, so causing a bump in Netflix's stock price in a single day, such that it added $20 billion in market value. So, Luke, in light of that reveal, in light of all the stats that Netflix is putting out, and even with all the negativity still surrounding the entertainment value or the sincerity of the fight, all in all here, as we are exactly 1 week over from this, was this fight good for boxing?
I think it was, but not in the way that we typically think of it. So what I would say is, I think an opportunity was missed, that the fight wasn't good. I mean, it was not just not good. It was like plainly terrible. And then Netflix, kind of shit in the bed and really hurt it too. But just talking about the fight itself, it was really bad. And I think an opportunity was missed to get people excited about what else there could be. So in that sense, I don't think it was good at all. And it didn't put, it was, it looked amazing on, to the extent you could watch it on screen, but it was ultimately just, there was nothing to it. However, BC, here's what I'm thinking about. I don't know what PBC's future is next year. It remains unclear. There is some stuff on the calendar, but it's Paramount pulling out of the business has not been awesome for them, I think is a fair way to put that. There is also some kind of rumor milling out there, and I don't have anything to report that, I don't know if Top Rank and ESPN are going to work out a deal, which means in the last few years, Showtime, Fox, ESPN, and others would have all dropped boxing from their coverage. Again, if that comes to fruition with Top Rank, we shall see. That, that's not good. That is real bad. That's real bad. I don't think Netflix can save it. And I think part of what they did was just a one-off, or, this thing is they're not going to have, like the same kind of thing that Turkey is paying for with Golden Boy, like, Latino night in Riyadh. Like, I don't think they're interested in that. There's probably a small segment. But I will say that any life they can breathe into boxing, even if it's for just a few dates a year and it's for the much bigger side, I don't think we should poo-poo that and utterly dismiss it, even if the fight was garbage and even if the fight night was a very frustrating experience as a consumer.
Yes, and you obviously can still make the argument about how many 70 million people watched Taylor Serrano 2, and I did hear people say, could a trilogy go on Netflix one day, or do you have to pair it with a Jake fight? You do make great points, that given the uncertainty and given the fact that the next 6 months from a business standpoint in boxing, we'll probably see more crazy changes than we've seen in, a decade before in some ways. We had a crazy enough change a year ago when Turkey came in and changed our expectations for big fights. But if Netflix becomes another major player, even if it's only for super big fights, but can fund them in that regard, yeah, then maybe the narrative has shifted away from the idea of like, damn, that fight sucked, to what can we build on this in the future? But Luke, do you have any link?
I didn't tell you this because the last time I saw you was obviously Monday, and it hadn't happened just yet. But like after Monday's show, I'm not kidding, I had like a few, like a surprising amount of MMA managers hit me up and be like, "You guys had some really strong takes about that fight." And I'm like, "Strong? Like who?" Okay, co-main event notwithstanding, who like had a good time watching that? Wasn't that main event like? It was bad no matter where you come from. Like, casual fan, hardcore, long time, new time. It was terrible. I'm like, how are we giving spicy takes about an event that was like objectively bad.
Well, I think people have lumped any criticism of this fight into some of the more edgy criticism, which is people claiming they've seen a contract where you weren't allowed to do uppercuts, which there's no proof of. And people, I mean, look, I believe there's some level of absolute bullshit attached to this fight. And it's not just the fact that it was an entertainment bottoming out, from that standpoint, it was the whatever's left of the, hey, dude, that was a real fight. So do we have any sanctity left in this to put out what was obvious? I don't know how far to take it, but there's been people that have taken it extremely far. And I think that now anytime negativity happens, you're getting those same responses of, oh, dude, what'd you expect? Or, at least you have to pay for it. Or that whole argument, which we've done all week. That sucks. And, yeah, let's try to focus on the good, I guess, moving forward. Man, it's been disappointing to see. I don't think just because some are saying it was like choreographed and fixed, which I'm not really sure. I'm not accusing, but I'm saying whether it was Jake explosively taking his foot off the gas to let an old man just get to the finish, or whether it was what some of these videos, Luke, as you see on the screen there, make it seem like Mike is also pulling punches. Look, all I'm saying is with that many people watching, this was the worst look you could have given them. I think we all would have preferred that if Mike got dropped in round one, if Jake had fought a little harder and then the ref was like, yeah, let's not take a chance, it would have sucked, but at least we would have had closure and said, okay, bad idea, but let's just move forward.
When I was at MMA fighting, this is like circa 2015, something like that, 2016 maybe. I wrote an article about Bellator. And they were doing their old man fights at that time. And this was well past Kimbo Dada. We were still, I think we were heading into like Chael Sonnen territory. And in the piece, I forget what it was called. You can look it up if they haven't deleted it. But in the piece, I basically argued that, of course, it was silly to assume that these fights were fixed. Like, because at the time, there was just, everyone thought Kimbo Dada was fixed. And everyone thought Ken Shamrock was fixed. Yeah. And I was trying to explain to them, the fights are just bad. Like, they're just bad. I mean, is it always possible that they're fixed? Of course. But I found out a rule from watching that, which is the more illegitimate in terms of the quality of the boxers themselves, or in this particular case, boxers, the fighters, right? And the more corners you have to cut to get there. We're not going to be in New York. We're going to be in Texas. We're going to have weird catch weight. We might change the glove rule. We might change the round rule, or whatever kind of accommodations you make that get you away. And our opponents are each in their 40s, or in this particular case, even the 50s. The more you stray away from legitimacy in that sense, the more the public doubts the legitimacy in terms of everything being above board. It's a legitimacy in two different senses, but they're connected by the vast array of the meaning there. And this is exactly what you get here. You cut 1 million corners to make this fight. You got way outside of established protocol. And so naturally, dude, there's going to be a fucking million conspiracy theories about it, because people can't recognize the shot. Mike Tyson was shot when I was in college. Like, that's how long he's been shot.
Yes.
And now you're 20 plus years past that. You're like, why was he pulling his punches? I'm like, yeah, no clue. Have no idea.
Well, final statement. Once again, it's not being upset that the fight was so bad. It's being upset that, in my opinion, neither guy actually tried. They were both content fighting on, 20% effort and just let's get the money, make sure no one gets hurt and go home, when you can't do that in a real fight. Or what's precedent are we setting moving forward? Topic number 3, Luke. Dana White reacted angrily to Jon Jones not being the recognized pound for pound number 1, but this is a good opportunity to really quantify the value of Jones's win over Stipe Miocic here 6 days later. Among all of Jon Jones's career title victories, and Luke, some people thought maybe you and I and you were really aggressive in shitting on whatever impact the Stipe fight had on the legacy, or how do you quantify it? Well, I guess we'll fix that right now. Where does the Miocic win rank when you look at all of the massive 16 wins in title fights that Jon Jones has the UFC record of?
In terms of the championship skill and adversity that they have to face, It's a very simple question that everybody has to ask themselves, but no one seems to want to do it, which is where would, of all of Jon's title fight wins, I think he's got 17 or 18, something like that. Of all of those wins, where would you rank this one? Now, if you're ranking just on name value and like the past of Stipe's resume, it goes pretty highly, obviously, right? You're talking about arguably, if not outright, the most successful UFC heavyweight champion that we've ever seen. So like on that level, it would go very highly. But in terms of like what he had to do in terms of displaying championship skill to get this win and the resistance he faced, be fucking serious. We're not even close to anything bordering on that. Now, I've seen him. I have his entire history up here, BC, of his odds. He closed at about a minus 550, around a minus 600 favorite. That is about what he was. Actually, Thiago Santos, he was a little bit less. For Anthony Smith, it was more. It was about a minus 700 in that range. Ovin St. Preux, which was a weird one because there was a late switch and the whole thing. That was a weird one. And then beyond that, the first Gustafsson fight, which everyone whiffed on, that ended up being very. He had to. I mean, we talked about Jon's clutch gene. That was big there. Oh, yeah. And then after that, you're into the section of his career like the Matyushenko's, which is non-title. In other words, from an odds standpoint, we're already talking about one of the more advantageous setups he had to begin with. We're already talking about that. Now, in terms of talking about the resistance that he faced, and some of this is guesswork. I understand this is why it's a debate. BC, I think it's better than his Anthony Smith win. I do believe that. I also think it's better to an extent over his Thiago Santos win because Santos spent long portions of that fight injured.
Sure.
Right?
Although he was still dangerous. He was dangerous.
In theory, he was dangerous. It's not clear exactly what he could have done when both of his knees required like extensive surgery.
All I'm saying is even when he had no knees, he came close to Jon's chin on big attempts, you know, a lot.
Yes. And by the way, I skipped the Chael Sonnen one, which would be the most, but that was just a waste. I mean, he just blew right through him. That was a waste of time. So this is what we're talking about. It's definitely better than the Smith win. It's definitely better than the Sonnen win. You can debate whether it's better than the Santos win. It's definitely not better than the Reyes win. This is what I mean, everyone. This is what I mean. In terms of the difficulty that he faced and the level of resistance he had to respond with in kind, you just can't be serious that this is one of his better wins. It's not even at the midpoint of his wins. It's clearly in the lowest section that he has. So when people say things like, you know, well, this win confers a lot, or when they get their, you know, they clutch their pearls, because I'm saying to you, like, what does it mean? Does it mean something to beat Stipe Miocic, BC? It means something, of course. It's a fight happened and he looked good doing it. Like there's a value there. But when you're actually forced to rank it against the other wins that he has under the guideline of, like, again, the aforementioned criteria, you're just lying if you say it's one of his better wins. It's matter-of-factly not. We're grading Jon not against nothing and what a Miocic win provides. We're grading him against an all-star resume and what that win provides against an all-star resume. And if you go back to what I said on Monday, BC, I'm glad you brought that up. I said it means fuck all when your wins are as good as his. You mean to tell me, again, from a name value standpoint, it does something to his resume. But if we're actually ranking them, BC, tell me which ones are worse than this one. Did I miss one? What did I miss? Gustafsson rematch changed everything on last minute notice, which was a weird kind of change. You could put that one down there. Fine.
Parker Porter.
That's not a title fight. That's not a.
I was okay. Luke, would you be content if I told you that in order the best wins are DC1, Shogun, DC2, and Gustafsson?
I'd have to think about that, but on first glance, that sounds pretty right. Yeah. That's
an insane 4 best wins. And then you're adding on to that Rampage, that version of Rashad, which was still very elite.
That was a very elite Rashad. Lyoto Machida was fucking people up too. I mean,
absolutely. That was a very dangerous version of Machida. Yeah. And then, you know, you sprinkle in those other ones at the later end of his career too. Damn. I mean, that's why he's the GOAT, Luke. So I know Dana's going to continue that he needs to be number one. I still think it's all part of Dana's Bobby Heenan plan, Luke, to continue to convince Jon that he's the best thing ever and can't be beat, so that John will agree to make the fights that we all want. So this is what Dana posting on Instagram.
Yeah, Dana was getting super bitter, and it's like, guys, John beat somebody who I think would go tooth and nail with Marcin Tybura, and has only had 2 wins since basically like early 2020, or 3 if you want to count the Reyes one, but 2 just in the stated division. I think at that same time, Makhachev has 8. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't understand what it is that is hard for people to understand, like like consistency. And anyway,
Luke, I think I had this conversation on a fantastic program that Mike Heck does called Between the Links or Below the Belt or something with Jed Meshew. And we had this whole debate on, how confident are we right now that Jones Aspinall will happen. I'm like crazy confident suddenly, like 55% confident. Because did you hear what Aspinall said, that UFC brass told him, no problem, we got this? Dude, if they call Uncle Turkey just like they did for the damn Sphere show to bail Dana out on that one, he can make this fight happen. He really can. And I get, that you can make that argument, as Jed did, that Dana doesn't want to set any precedents by giving one man that money. Which one man deserves that money the most? Probably the greatest fighter ever. So if
he's deserved it for a while, you have to ask what changed.
So if Turkey's the thing we need to get it done, I'm pretty confident they can get it done here, Luke.
First of all, dude, UFC can afford this. I mean, they don't need Turkey's help. They can
tell
afford
that
it.
to Ari, though. Tell that he wants every dollar, Luke.
I understand. Okay, my only issue with the fight being partially funded by Turkey is that, remember, after I don't think you went to this one. You didn't go to the Madrimov Bud fight, did you? No. I was on vacation. Okay, but that event was apparently like a giant financial fucking bath. Like, apparently it was so bad that his overseers in Saudi were like, you need to bring these back to Riyadh. So if the fight has to take place in Riyadh, I mean, listen, here's my view, BC. If it has to take place in Riyadh, in the sense that, like, there's no other way to do it, then do it, right? That's my view. Just fucking do it. But, like, in an ideal world, is that where that fight should take place? I'm not even hating on Saudi Arabia. Like, it shouldn't take place there.
I mean, it should take place at Allegiant Stadium, or AT&T Stadium, or Wembley Stadium.
Or Wembley, exactly. Somewhere in the UK, somewhere in the US, yes.
But that might be the way it has to get done. And if that's the way it has to get done, let's get it done. Okay, let's do it.
Also, last thing on this, I just don't. If you are confident that John will fight, and I think it's possible.
He'll fight for Turkey money. He'll fight for Turkey money.
Yeah. No. Okay, so let me back up. For Turkey money, 100% he'll fight. Like, I believe that. Like, if Turkey comes in is like offering, like, I'll make
30 million. 30 million. John
35,
is saying,
even 40 million.
John is saying yes.
Yes. John's saying yes. I believe he'll say yes, because that's just an absurd amount of money. Right?
He should say yes. Yes.
He should say yes. I agree.
Or his kids. You know what I mean? Seriously.
But the question you have to ask yourself is, let's say he did make 10 million to fight his last one, and UFC says we'll go as high as 15. Does he take that?
No, it's got to be like, I think it's like 19 is the area where they could wear him down.
You think it's got to hit that 20 mil threshold?
That might be the line for him, yeah. But they've got to hit that line. But Turkey could get, like you said, that line pretty damn high. Don't forget,
easily.
Anthony
Yeah,
Joshua,
Turkey could. I mean,
they
got the money. They got the money.
But I don't even care what precedent it would set, because you'd basically be telling your fighters, get to Jon Jones level. You know what I mean? Then maybe we'll help you get that money. You know what I mean? So I don't think it breaks any precedent.
Also, Turkey Claus, is not going to be here every Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, John might be able to get that money. And by the way, if John gets that money and says yes, like, I'm good. I don't have a single complaint. Nothing, not zero. Other than I don't want the fight to be in Riyadh. But other than that, like, do your thing. But I don't think Turkey Claus is going to be, handing out gifts to all the little boys and girls forever.
Well, let me just say it like this. The only chance we have of getting to John versus Francis before it's too late is Turkey paying for John versus Aspinall. Obviously, John winning, but then Turkey and TKO and UFC pointing toward what is down the line. And if we had to get the smart cage involved and we had to figure out how to do this, the only way we do that is with all of those players, Luke. So
Yeah, I mean,
maybe-
but here's the thing. I'm going to take John at his word that fighting Aspinall is more than likely not going to happen, but still possible. Definitely still possible.
Okay.
John versus Francis. No.
It's a pipe dream, Luke, but I've
yeah,
been
no.
around pipes my whole adult life. You know what I mean? You know?
Only pipes, baby.
Only pipes, baby. Let's go to topic 4 here. It's going to go down February 1st. A fantastic PBC on Prime pay-per-view from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. As previously announced, David Benavidez and David Morrell Jr., the unbeaten, now light heavyweights, both have interim or secondary titles, and both wanted Canelo at 168. Can't get it. So they're going to fight each other. So Luke and I have been spending months teasing and talking about the idea of how great this fight can be. And I've already said it, when you add in Fulton versus Figueroa 2 as the co-main and some other tasty dishes underneath. This is a strong move from PBC at a time when PBC needs strong moves. This is getting the public's attention. But Luke, after what we saw earlier this week at the press conference in LA, where there was some jawing back and forth, and then they took their shirts off to film the pay-per-view commercials where they've got the smoke machine and they're there, and it got hairy again. How fired up, Luke, are you for this? And do you think that the extended combat sports world will catch on, and this fight might have some hype to it as we get closer to February 1st?
Let's react to that clip. Let's react to that clip. The face-off.
We're good. We're good.
Vamos a ver. I can't wait.
Did you see what happened after that?
No.
Benavidez came back and then was like, all right, fuck it. You want to fight? Let's go right now. And in English, Morrell was like, fuck you. And it got kind of crazy, dude. It was wild. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm not okay because Usyk versus Fury 2 is on the calendar and is actually next. Dude, it's like 3 weeks or something. Like soon, right? That's the best boxing fight on the calendar. This is number 2. This is the one right behind it for me. I don't. Maybe you feel differently, BC. I don't know, but you're talking about David Benavidez, who doesn't. In a world where Jones is like, yeah, I'm not going to fight Aspinall. In a world where Canelo is like, yeah, I don't want to fight Benavidez. Benavidez is like, motherfuckers, bring them to me. I will sit them down one by one. Fighting Demetrius Andrade when no one wanted to fight him. Taking on Caleb Plant, a tough fight out if ever there was one. Moving up a weight class. And he didn't put away Vosnik, but he had I think overall a pretty good performance. And now he's taking on this like slickster out of Cuba. And BC, if I missed any part of this, please tell me if I got it wrong. He is slick, athletic. He can punch. He hasn't faced anyone like Benavidez who just moves downhill on people, but he has a lot to offer. Dude, what is there to dislike about Benavidez or this fight? Holy shit, folks, get excited.
It's like, should we get overexcited about that interaction between them? Yeah, when we already were like, this is a hardcore fan's dream. This is going to be a great fight. But obviously you want it to get the hype and attention it would deserve. Well, it's starting to. When you add in basically a grudge war just out of like, machismo and cocksure. I mean, this is going to be, look, I said this to you over text yesterday, when Benavidez has the right dance partner, and he had one with Caleb Plant in 2023, the builds to his fights are pretty damn intense, fun, and damn near epic because he has no problem trash talking. He doesn't seek it out. But if it arrives, if there's beef, the temperature in the air increases. Do we have the other footage here of them jawing during the actual press
press conference, I think.
Let's hear it.
No, let me. I want to.
You don't have power for this.
You don't have. I don't
have
have
power
power.
for
I don't
this.
have power. No, I don't have power.
Not for this.
I'm gonna show you.
They broke my mouth.
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. I'm break
Hell
your
no.
fucking mouth. I'm gonna break your
Not
talking all
power
that
for
shit.
mouth. Hell
Talking all that shit.
Hell
When you have a
no.
jaw brace on,
You don't have
that's
power.
gonna be. That's
Man,
my
but
gift to
you boys,
That's
you
my
know
gift to
more
you.
better, man. Like, shut the fuck. What the fuck?
What are you saying? What are you saying?
Man, you're a stupid.
Beat the fuck.
No, man. Okay,
I'ma
what do
beat
you
the
do? Hey, baby, what do you do? Whatever you do.
All right. And then I
Whatever
want
you
you
do.
to come ready because
Whatever
I'll beat the
you do.
I want you guys to
Whatever
give
you
me,
do.
I want you guys to give me the props
Whatever
I
you
deserve.
do.
All right. We'll
Whatever
see.
you do.
We'll see.
Whatever
We'll see.
you do.
You know what? These are,
Stupid.
like I said, these are the type of
Stupid.
fighters I want people that excited.
Stupid.
What the on your
Man,
phone for? We're in a press
my guy is
conference.
more
We're in a
important to you,
press.
bro.
Now he's gonna go on Instagram. Look at this guy. He's nervous, man.
Number what? Number what?
Vas a ver.
¿Qué voy a ver, mijo? ¿Qué voy a ver?
Vas a- te
Voy
voy a
a ver de un
tirar
cielo
esa
nunca
pinche
vio.
picada. Vas a
Voy a
ver.
ver de un cielo nunca vio, mijo.
Yeah, vas a ver. You're gonna see. You're gonna see.
Dude, this is unexpected to get a little sprinkling of flavor on top between these two, and that just adds to everything that we're going to see. And did you think Benavidez was too pudgy in that face-off they did for that commercial, or
Bro,
are we not reading that?
He looks like I mean, of all the candidates you could imagine to be like an enforcer. He looks like the last guy, but that is exactly what he is. I fucking love this fight, bro. I
Yes.
love this fight.
Yes.
I cannot wait.
Oh, and that co-main event is badass. I hope we get a chance to be there, Luke. February 1st, PBC going to be hot in Las Vegas. Yeah. And Luke, real quick, the winner of this fight, more likely, in your opinion, to fight the winner of Beterbiev Bivol 2 if it happens, or does this wake Canelo up? What do you think?
I think the only way Canelo fights the winner of this is if they take a beating en route.
And it might be one of those fights where both give all to get the
Yep.
victory. Like this could be a classic affair.
This is why you just have to give credit to both of these guys. They may not come out the other side the same, even if they win or lose. So you got to pay respect to people who put on the line in general, obviously, but then specifically in cases like this, which, by the way, we didn't even mention it, title unification. So yeah.
I can't wait. I mean, I want to see the winner of this fight, Canelo, Bivol, and Beterbiev. I mean, I want it all, Luke. So let's see what happens here. Topic number 5 are a few odds and ends, and I do think some of them are important. So BKFC made a few headlines, not involving what's going on with Conor McGregor in the courtroom, from the idea that they're going to do Knuckle Mania coming up in Philadelphia, and it's not bad. Eddie Alvarez versus Jeremy Stevens in the main event of that tentpole pay-per-view. But then David Feldman of BKFC teased cryptically the idea that BKFC is on the verge of announcing an all-comers $25 million tournament. Luke, I got a lot of questions here, not just where's the money coming from? Like, is this a Saudi type situation? Does that even matter? But they seem to early on, without knowing any of the rules, the settings, anything, they seem to be pitching it to literally anyone across the board in combat sports that wants to come do this. If that money's real, you don't see prizes offered like this. You know what I mean? Unless it's a big fight between two established guys. What could your expectations be for something that feels so 1993, but could be really fun in 2025?
Dude, when this news broke, tell me if this was your reaction. My reaction was like, is this like The Onion or something? Like it almost didn't make big waves, even though it was designed to, because it seems like so implausible. I mean, you raised the first question that I had, which was how the fuck do they got 25 million? Like, that doesn't make just on hand. You have 25 million on hand. That doesn't sound right at all. Most of these promotions are, they have some capital, but they have shoestring budgets in a lot of ways. They especially don't have 25 mil in cash just laying around. So my first thought is they must have some Middle East investor, right? They must have some Qatari or Emirates, or I don't know if they have Saudi investment. I don't know. I don't know where the money's coming from, but absent that, I don't know how they would have this money at all. So that's a little. There's Tukster. Oh, Jesus Christ! Can you take over? I have to fix something real quick.
I can absolutely take over. So look, I'm interested. Like, BKFC does have this ability to make you care for short periods of time and to have a redneck feel to how it's promoted, a pro wrestling. Like, yeah, I can't avoid this. The idea of like a winner take all insane prize tournament that could bring people we may not expect, that still have something left in the tank to pour out and maybe a big name, then this takes the ideas of what Bellator did with that heavyweight Grand Prix featuring all those old names that was sort of like a Mod Podge of history of different sized people. That could take that idea and bring it to the extreme. It almost, again, has like UFC 1 origin vibes of like, here's a massive prize. Whoever you are, come and try to get it. There are a lot of weird and interesting names in this sort of crossover, the kind of people that we debate should be Jake Paul opponents. What if all those guys threw themselves into something like this? You'd need big stars for sure, but you'd probably get them with that price tag on top. This is interesting. The Smart Cage doesn't offer this much money. UFC's not offering that much money. Turkey on the highest level of boxing, Canelo gets that much money, but Luke, like they're saying winner take all as well. So how big could the clientele be for this in your eyes?
If they're actually offering that kind of money, I actually think that they could get some interesting offers. If you really have that kind of money, and is it like winner take all? I know it's an 8-man.
That's what they're saying. So what I'm saying is, this going to bring high profile boxers? Is it going to bring that?
If the money is real and they can know it's real, yes, it will. It will. I mean, and also like, what's Rico Verhoeven up to? What are but I don't know the weight class. I mean, there's so much that's unknown about this. I don't really know who is going to be eligible. But if you're putting 20, dude, that's almost Canelo's guarantee. That's a lot of money.
What if they made like a 2-division window, like almost like, whenever we talk about BMF fights, it's typically people in the MMA space between lightweight and welterweight, like the whole 165-pound club. What if they did some form of somewhat fair, 2-division space where you're like, if you can make this, you're in this tournament?
Yeah. Yeah, like 200 and up or something, or 185 and up,
Or no, what I'm offering there is what? Basically 170 to 185?
You could just do open weight. I mean, I don't know if the commission, again, it's also, where's it going to be? Under whose jurisdiction, right? A lot of this is kind of unknown.
So, okay, stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for January 25th, by the way, in Dubai, because PFL has an offering, or PFL-ator, that we got to see it here, and it's Bellator lightweight champion Usman Nurmagomedov making a title defense against Paul Hughes, the Irish prospect who's a prospect no more after he took down AJ McKee. They will also be a PFL residency in Dubai. So, Luke, how big is this for PFL-ator, and how great is this freaking fight, man?
I absolutely love this fight. And I know what everyone says. They said the exact same thing before Paul Hughes fought AJ McKee. It's too much too soon. Too much too soon. Well, how'd that go? Now, BC, I'm not silly. I would favor Usman Nurmagomedov. This time it is Usman. It's not Umar. I would favor Usman Nurmagomedov to win. I think you probably would too. But Paul Hughes is so exciting. And I got to say, if you didn't see the trailer that Francis Ngannou posted, partly it was a commercial for Dubai, but like as a fight trailer, it was awesome as to get you hyped. And more to the point, BC, there's a lot to kill PFL about in terms of, everything. It is just everything they do is kind of bad. But they're not wasting time with Paul Hughes. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
They made a big signing, big splash. They gave him a good fight against AJ McKee on their pay-per-view, and now they're going right back to back and putting him against Nurmagomedov. And I think Nurmagomedov probably wins that fight, but I think win or lose, Paul Hughes is going to make a very good account of himself. And by the way, if he goes in there and wins, do you know how bad it's going to make the UFC, look in terms of like, you passed on this guy who just blew the doors off everyone at PFL, who's fucking awesome. And also, last thing on this, as I understand it, if he were to win a title like this, he would be essentially the best fighter since McGregor out of Ireland.
Well, that's the thing, Luke. I don't mean to get soap opera WWE on you, but everyone's talking on social media about if Paul Hughes asked Conor to be in his corner and Habib's in the opposite corner coaching his cousin, this fight will get a lot of attention. The temperature will get raised. Could that happen? Will that happen? I mean, McGregor just went through some really bad PR today, bro.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to go. I don't quite know. But you got the Nurmagomedov name in there, and Ireland versus Russia in this particular circumstance, or Ireland versus Nurmagomedov family, or whatever. There's ways to work it without Conor explicitly. But I'll give them credit. They are promoting him the right way. They're putting him in aggressive matchmaking, but not, I think, unwinnable matchmaking. And so far, it's going pretty goddamn great.
Luke, that fight is January 25th. A week earlier, January 18th. I didn't think I'd care about this on paper when DAZN puts together a boxing match where Tommy Fury will face Darren Till. But then they had a press conference, and then Big John Fury got involved. And now, Luke, I'm all the hell in on this gas station food right now. Like, give it to me. I believe we have a video of something related to this. Let's watch it, please.
Listen, Darren, you got to walk into the firing line, mate. And everyone that I've sparred from the Olympics who's turned over pro, it's different watching me on the television.
Well, at the end of the day, if I can't beat it, I'll just kick you in the face in there. How about that?
Well, that's not going to happen, Darren.
Well, it obviously is. How are you going to stop?
Because we're 8 in the cage now in a boxing ring, and you're going to find out that boxing is very different to MMA.
I'll just kick you straight in your face.
Listen,
you won't know what
you kick me straight in the face, well, that's it. It's going to be a proper fight then, isn't it?
But then I'll win because I'm a proper fighter.
Well, you're not
a boxer.
You're not
I don't walk into rooms. I don't walk in a room like this and see boxing and go shit. Darren. I walk in. No one in here is a threat to me. No, not one person in this room. Security, you, your dad are not a threat to me. I'm an MMA fighter, so
why come over then?
Why, or elbow you in the face, I will.
Why
no one can do anything about it.
Why come over to boxing? Listen, Darren,
if you forgot I sparred your brother, Tyson, and beat him like a baby.
Yeah, it's fine.
So if I'm in that fight and I'm losing, I'm going to go, right, I'm kicking him in the face now.
Oh, Luke, that video ends right before it got great. By the way, that when Big John Fury got up and, dude, the back and forth between Big John Fury and Darren Till was theater, Luke. You're about as dumb as a loaf of sourdough bread. I mean, the one-liners were hilarious. And then
he was calling them pig eyes.
Then you get Big John getting up and throwing the water bottle. And, dude, suddenly I'm like, is Darren Till, who was just recently in a boxing match for one round and got taken down in a brawl afterwards, is he the savior we need in this stupid lane of these type of fights? Because
he's going to
hilarious
lose, right?
as shit. Yeah, he should lose. I mean, he should lose this fight for sure. But, dude, he can make really fun, stupid things happen in the promotion of these things.
Yeah, I mean, that's where he's at now. You know, I remember when UFC were hyping him up as like the best guy in the world and the heir apparent to Michael Bisping in the UK. MMA's tough, you know, MMA's tough. But I'll say this. I'll watch.
Stop it. Of course you'll watch.
I'll watch.
Dude, I mean, it's stupid how much fun you can have watching a fight with Big John Fury involved. I mean,
yeah, it's the dumbest shit on earth, but I'll watch it, you know.
And it's not bad. It's not bad. We have something here about Till's physique, Luke. I believe you said he was up to 2.
So this is a weigh-in photo from, I'm not sure which fight, but at some point. And then look at the follow-up, bro. Is there a follow-up?
Yeah, give it a sec.
Okay, hold on. Bro, look at this.
Dude, he said he's as high as 253.
Yeah, I mean, he fought at 170 in the UFC. I mean, granted, he had to cut enormous weight to get there, but, you know.
All right.
Not exactly at the peak of his fitness capabilities.
I hate to ask you this, but if he goes in there and outboxes Tommy Fury and wins and pulls an upset, does he get Jake Paul next?
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
Probably does, yes. There you go. That's it. That's our topics for the week, but we have one more segment. And thank you once again to our guest, Kade Ruotolo, for stopping by. morningkombat@gmail.com is your chance to send in for every Friday dead wrongs if we said something, but it wasn't right. Or maybe what we got today, a batch of your bullshit that we'll put up on the fridge happily. We call this fan submissions.
Fair.
You've got mail.
Viewers.
Sure do.
All right.
We sure do.
Luke, the first one is from Joseph. And by the way, he's my boy Joey from the Zach Mexico band from out there in the Outer Banks of North Carolina on the OBX. And Joe says, headed to a wedding, but you know I need my MK bomber on in case it gets chilly. MK all day, every day, boys. LFG. Luke, those guys in Zach Mexico sent me some of their records. They're fantastic jam band from out that way. I love those guys.
Bro, you're going with the black shirt and the red tie. That's the math teacher at prom combo right there, my friend.
Yeah, that looks like Appy when he's about to bang his students, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, there you go. All right, Joseph, thank you for stopping by. Let's go over to Benjamin. He says, hey, MK, thanks for sticking to it and powering through the chaos of the last year. I rely on you to keep me in the combat sports loop while on the road doing my next stint. The 3-hour trek to this cliff was powered by your podcast. I'm at Kerfjag, Norway, 3,642 feet. They used a helicopter to bring a giant human catapult up to the top of the cliff, and they launched themselves. Holy crap. Luke, Benjamin's crazy. And
wait, that's him doing the shit?
I think so, yeah.
White people, bro, they love being daredevils.
Wow, that white guy Benjamin representing MK. Luke, people take them with us when they propose to their wife. Like, we're
I
in their
know.
lives.
That's insane, dude. That's like, I mean, that must be an amazing experience, but at the same time, that looks a little bit terrifying. A little bit terrifying.
Yeah, what balls that man has, Benjamin. All right, let's hear from Dez. Luke, you love when Dez mahalos his way in, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, Chris. Oh, I'm thinking of the other guy. This is Dez. This is the guy, Luke. This is the guy, Dez, who sent us a Christmas card. Remember during our drinking show, we opened it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Dez says Christmas greetings from Ireland. We say Christmas greetings instead of holiday greetings here. No MK Donk's tree is complete without the amazing MK decoration. Don't forget to use the code LIVE10 at the checkout. We don't know if anyone will be there to deliver the decoration you purchased, but we'll take your money. That's not inaccurate, for the record, by the way. This accompanying aria to this video is the MK Donks a cappella version of Deck the Halls. Thanks for all the amazing content this year. All the best. It's Dez from Cork. All right, let's see what he's got going on.
Donk, 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 donk. Donk, 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 donk. Donk, 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 donk. Donk, 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 donk.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Did he? Dez made that about us, Luke, to be a part of his holiday life.
Did we used to sell ornaments, or did he make that?
I think he made that. By the way, yeah. He's not wrong about our merch, but thank you very much on that, Dez. He also said, P.S. Don't focus too much on Reddit and Twitter. The silent majority of donks really love the content. And P.P.S. Please get an MK account on Blue Sky. Some of us try to avoid the sewer that is Twitter. Luke, are you on Blue Sky?
I am. I don't use it much, but I am there. Yes.
Yeah, that's not my thing. I mean, Twitter sucks, but you know, what else you got, Chin? It's the same thing. It always sucked, right? So it's just all right.
Yeah,
let's go over
Twitter is awful in every way. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Elon. Let's hear from Eddie here. He says, Luke in BC, this post may not be exactly rocking MK merch, but it was one fan sub I've got to send in like no other. These first few photos are me 8 years ago when I was pushing 270 pounds. This past weekend was easily one of the most memorable of my life. Long story short, after listening to Luke and other journalists talk about BJJ, I finally took it up last year. I started my training in no-gi on and off for a year. I decided about 5 months ago that I wanted to get ready for a tournament. So I decided to transition. No, not the way BC is thinking, and get out there in the kimono gi and get more training and conditioned into competing. So this past weekend, I ended up entering my first BJJ tournament. I entered myself into the Tap Cancer Out event in Danvers, Massachusetts, their largest event of the year, faced off against 13 competitors in the Masters 30 and over white belt lightweight division. I made a highlight of the weekend's performance, and he had a guillotine win in a minute 25 in the first match. He rallied for victory in the second one. I mean, Luke, what do you think about this guy's physical journey? This guy, Eddie.
Very commendable. And, you know, not bad. This is actually pretty good for where he's at. And he's got some good ideas and good patience. Oh, he had to step over with the mount. That's a bad idea. But in general, you can see like he might be technically unrefined in certain ways, but he's got a lot of like good. He's got good balance. He's got good base. He's got good pinning here. This is nice. He's got a lot of good stuff going on. That's much better. There we go. Yeah.
He says, shout out to Jesse Erickson, Travis, and Cam Wells, who have cornered and coached me throughout this chapter of my life. He says, Luke, I'd love to send you the entire 15 minutes it took me to get 4 wins and take home the gold.
Send it to me.
See what I could do better with my game. Oh, that's awesome of you, Luke. So send it to him, Eddie.
Yeah, LukeThomasNews@gmail.com. Send it to me.
All right. Good out. Hey, Eddie, great on you for having a goal, having something a passion, and going after it. And even if you had a pitfall, you decided, you know what, I'm going for it. Dude, put your dreams first. Go for it. Look at what's happening to this guy. I mean, wow. Wait, look, he touched me and I was consensual with it. Okay.
All right. That's a little weird, but okay.
All right, let's get over to Anthony. He says, Luke and BC, it's been a while. This is little Anthony, Luke, the fake Saul. You remember this guy?
Yes.
He says, V and I have missed the MK universe and happy to see you guys are back to doing fan subs, sharing a few photos of what life has been like for us in 2024. In March, we went to Miami to cheer on Ecuadorian brother Cheeto. And on September 28th, we got married. Up next, making a baby. We'll check in with you donks in 2025, sending our love from Chicago. It's little Anthony. Luke, these two, Anthony and V, have very much lived the MK journey through the big moments of their lives. And they are like family to us, even if we haven't been on the road lately and it's a new MK era. The era is still little Anthony and V being one of us. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, major congratulations. Felicitaciones, the whole bit. Listen, what can I add? We greatly appreciate their fandom and to see their lives growing in a positive direction. What more could you want for people?
Yeah.
What more could you want?
Well, nudes, Luke, but that would be that would be too far. That would definitely would. But
again, BC wants a side podcast where he bangs the wives of
That's disgusting. All right, our final one, I believe, here is from a guy we like a lot, Average Joe Art, right? And Joe says, it's been too long after years of talking about it and teasing the fans. Luke and BC finally go tip to tip, albeit not in the way most thought. And some had hoped. The past 11 months have been really, really busy for me. And with MK being resurrected as a once-a-week show, I thought Fan Subs, my beloved segment, was gone forever. I couldn't have been happier with the addition of the Friday show and the announcement that my favorite segment is returning. I think it needed a shot in the arm, I've noticed. So hopefully we can all have it return to its former glory and even make it better this time around. Luke, what are you thinking about this Dragon Ball thing right here?
Dragon Ball Z. Now, here's the problem. I don't know enough about Dragon Ball Z to give too much commentary. What I can say is a couple of things. I got the Chewbacca shirt on. That's awesome. Second of all, you can see the tattoo on the inside of my right arm, which is correct.
Yes.
And you've got the sweat outfit that you wore for what interview were we doing, BC, where you were all white in
Michael
Las
Chiesa,
Vegas? Michael Chiesa.
And I had the One Love hat on. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, what does the heart say on your chest?
I can't read that. It's too small for me to read. But
Long Island Luke, can you see?
It says 115, like for strawweights.
Oh, that's brilliant. Strawweights 115. Wow. I mean, this guy knows me so freaking well. Joe says, fun fact, when I get the opportunity to work with fighters, I ask them what got them into fighting, and the top three answers are Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, and Dragon Ball, which Joe knew next to nothing about before attempting to create artwork for the almighty himself, Arnold Allen. And in doing research, Joe saw episodes together featuring Fusion. Two dudes each put on a dangly earring and go tip to tip and fuse together into one being. No joke. It was perfect to return for MK.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry that one got me.
And he adds, Luke, I didn't bother putting it on a t-shirt since apparently a ghost is running the merch shop, but maybe one day they'll throw up the signal for me to return. In the meantime, make fan subs great again. P.S. Viva Barbas. It's your reigning defending donk of the year. Average Joe.
He's doing I don't know.
Who, Barbas or Average Joe?
No, Barbas. Big thanks to Average Joe. That is fucking awesome. I would love to make use of it if we can. I mean, look at that. That is so fucking cool.
That is
so
amazing.
Fucking cool.
Thank you. Hey, thank you to all our folks. Remember, morningkombat@gmail.com is the email address. Hit us with Dead Wrong. Hit us with fan subs. Hey, you got a message for us? Send it. No stick pics. That's not fair to Mikey. You know that. You know what I mean? You know.
Long Island Luke, you want to plug anything else?
Yeah, tune in 6 a.m. tomorrow for the watch along. Also, Gaff, I want to plug his channel. One More Round Fights. Go check out Gaff's new YouTube channel.
Well, what's Gaff putting out there?
Gaff's got a bunch of stuff going on. He does bets based off the UFC video game, like simulated fights. So like based on the results of the simulation, he'll place bets on it. It's a new thing he started. It's pretty fun. Go check
I've never played any UFC fighting game ever.
Neither have I, but I also don't bonus systems.
Oh, they're really fun. Really fun.
I'll play the fuck out of Mortal Kombat. I'll play that
dude,
game.
Designing the tattoos on my fighters, like I, if they win, they get to get a new tattoo, Luke. And then by the end of their career, they look like, like I did on Halloween that time. You know what I mean?
Those are smart financial investments,
Yeah, there you go. All right. Hey, that's the show we got for you this week. I hope you saw it. I hope you enjoyed it. Follow us on those social channels we showed below, all of our YouTube channels there as well. I don't think we should, forget about the merch for now, but we're putting things back together. It's just taking time. It's taking time. It's the reality.
It's been a long year. It's been a long year.
It's been a long December, but there's reasons to believe maybe this year will be better than the last. You know what I'm saying?
I fucking hope.
Yeah. All right. For Long Island Luke, regular Luke, and your boy BC, take care of yourself, folks. Thank you to Kade Ruotolo. Follow his shit. Thank you. We're out of here.